Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Wim Lou. You are listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. It is now 2 days after the NBA draft lottery has been hosted. Now we know that the Raptors will be taking the ninth selection of the 2025 NBA draft. This is obviously barring any sort of movement where the Raptors go up or down. I think really most likely the Raptors will be using this number ninth pick to add another prospect to the team. And so we wanted to sort of step away a little bit from our playoff coverage and all of that to sort of just come back to focus on the draft itself. Actually, tomorrow we're going to go live again and we'll talk about the Cavs flaming out in 5. We'll talk about just the incredible game that we saw between Denver and OKC, and of course potentially tonight with Boston potentially going out. Get well soon to Jason Tatum. That, I mean, all jokes aside, that's such an unfortunate thing to happen to such a great player at a young age. Hopefully he recovers well. And of course, Golden State, they might be out because Steph Curry actually is not going to be playing in tonight's Game 5. He continues to be out with the hamstring issue. And so based on the way that Ant's been playing and the way that, Minnesota has been dominating, and also the fact that the Warriors just look like they can't score 100 points without Steph. And I have genuinely, like, it makes me wonder and in awe almost of how exactly the Warriors ever score efficiently. Even with Steph around, because the rest of the guys just can't do it. But in any case, we'll come back tomorrow and talk more about the playoffs, hand out some blame pies and stuff like that. We know that that's something that we love doing on the show. But today we really want to just focus on the result of the draft lottery. The Raptors are going to be picking ninth, and we want to look at potentially some of the candidates that the Raptors could be using. And really, I wanted to crowdsource this first and foremost because I wanted to get a sense of where Raptor fans are at with this potential ninth pick. And so I actually put out a Twitter call out just to get people's opinions on which players they like for the Raptors at ninth. And I compiled them into a handy little chart here. So the results as we see them from twitter.com, the results that we have, we could see it right here. So out of the 213 total votes that I got, Khaman Maluach comes in at number 1 by far. 56 votes for Khaman Maluach as for what Raptor fans want to see at the ninth pick. Second would be Derik Queen, another center, this one from Maryland. Jeremiah Fears, the first guard to show up on this list, he got 21 of the votes, so roughly 10%. Then we got a trade of varying sorts. This trade is all-encompassing in the sense that it could be a trade for a star player. There's certainly a lot of calls. Some people still aren't giving up on the Giannis stream, although I got to say the ninth pick isn't exactly the greatest asset to throw into this. It would have been totally different if the Raptors got the second, third, or even fourth pick. All of a sudden, you could really talk yourself into that being a great trade chip. Ninth pick, for me, honestly, probably not moving any sort of tangible ways in terms of the Giannis potential trades. But in any case, this includes trades up in the draft or trades down in the draft potentially. So trade, the ninth pick got 18 votes. Carter Bryant, a bit of a surprise here in terms of just like his name jumping up more and more. I think certainly people are starting to look a little bit deeper into the draft. The Raptors obviously spent most of the season, we spent most of the season looking at maybe top 5 candidates potentially. But especially now the Raptors are at ninth, you got to cast a wider net. And Carter Bryant is somebody who, has a lot of standout skills. We'll talk about him a little bit here as well. But he got 15 votes. Tied at 13 is a 3-way tie between Colin Murray-Boyles, Noa Essengue, and Kasparas Jakucionis. Certainly 3. You honestly can't find 3 more different players than those 3 guys in particular. Colin Murray-Boyles, who I'm going to call CMB from now on. CMB is versatile, small forward, power forward, maybe even center type, kind of like a Draymond-esque body, really connective player. Not a guy who really creates his own shot. Certainly didn't shoot it well. And actually, I have some footage to show you from the draft combine, courtesy of the reporters on site, and it did not look great for CMB with his outside shooting, but. The main benefits of his game is that he's kind of like a B across the board, and so he certainly has a wide skill set. Noa Essengue is kind of like the European intrigue pick, one of the few, I would say. There's certainly always 3 or 4 candidates that didn't play in NCAA that could potentially surprise. And I think Noah certainly gained some steam. If you really only watch like a couple clips, you could definitely see the vision there. Kind of like a Project 6'9" type of guy, to be honest, if I had to summarize. And then Kasparas Jakučionis, Lithuanian point guard who played at Illinois this past season as a freshman, did pretty well. Outside shooter, but scored it in a variety of different ways, and primarily is sort of like your primary playmaking point guard. So 3 totally different guys tied at 13. Then we go down. Rasheer Fleming, his name is starting to crop up more and more as well. I certainly see the vision with him. It's probably the first time we actually talked about him on this specific program. So looking forward to sharing sort of my first impressions of looking at Rasheer and sort of what he can do. Thomas Sorber, another name that's cropped up here. Him and Egor Demin both got 7 votes, and then Asa Newell got 5. There's honestly other votes that I just kind of have to draw the line somewhere. Like, the guys like, Danny Wolf got a couple of votes. Walton Clayton Jr. got a couple of votes, stuff like that. But I just wanted to cut it off at 5. I think if we talk about 11 guys in one episode, that's a good amount. So those are the results from what I saw on twitter.com. I'm actually going to be interested to essentially do this idea maybe again in a month when we're closer to the draft itself. The draft will be end of June, and I want to see how the results change. But also in the meantime, it is actually very funny to actually, Jerome, if you could just scroll back down to that pie chart. We have made a lot of pie charts on this show, and if it's more visually helpful to see this presented in chart form, then there you go. As you can see, roughly half of the voters, or actually more than half of the voters, want one of Khaman Maluach, Derik Queen, or Jeremiah Fears. So let's start from the most popular player and work our way down to the very bottom here. And we'll start with Khaman Maluach, who we talked about so many times on this show. This is somebody who, it's certainly, you can see the fit size wise. I think the Raptors certainly need to add a young big. This is somebody that both Masai and Bobby have mentioned that the Raptors do need to add a young big to the pipeline. And so I don't think it's a surprise that more than anything else you see. I mean, Maluach is a big, Queen is a big, CMB is going to play as a 4-5 type in the NBA. I really don't see him play as a 3 based on the shot. And also Sorber is a 5. Honestly, you could probably play Fleming a little bit as a small ball 5 too. So the majority of the list actually are guys who are centers. But of course, the most popular name is Khaman Maluach. So the official draft combine measurements are in. He's 7'2". This is in shoes. I basically added 1 inch to everyone's height without shoes because, like, I don't know, man. These guys aren't going to be playing without shoes, but whatever. Like, let's give him 7'2". He's got a 7'7" wingspan. He weighs 253 pounds. Size-wise, it's kind of roughly similar to like a Rudy Gobert, like in terms of that sort of like frame and reach. Especially the standing reach is one of the things that stands out about Khaman Maluach at 9'8". I've also presented some of his stats down below. This is just, a couple of raw stats, but in 21.2 minutes per game in his freshman year at Duke, he averaged 8.6 points, 6.6 rebounds, 1.3 blocks. His shooting splits 71% from the field. Obviously, a very, very efficient player around the basket, which is like 90% of where he played was around the basket, but 71% from the field, 25% from 3. There's maybe some intrigue there. I'll talk about that in a second. And also 77% from the foul line, which is certainly very encouraging for a center. I think at this point, it's interesting because, okay, so he did get the majority of the vote. Roughly 1/4 of the people who wrote in wanted Khaman Maluach for the Raptors at the 9th pick. I do think that, like, a couple things. So number one, I maybe see some concern of maybe if he's even going to be available at the 9th pick. Based on the way the draft order shook out, I could see a couple teams ahead of Toronto. Most likely Washington at 6 and Brooklyn at 8. Those 2 teams could potentially jump in and take Maluach. I think the other teams ahead of them probably have bigger needs elsewhere, or they have young centers already in the pipeline. And so I don't necessarily see those teams like reaching for him, but maybe, who knows? Like, again, like, this might not all be fit. This could also just be a team really believes in Maluach and his future potential, and they're willing to draft him even if they have a center. You know what I mean? Like, if Charlotte takes him and they already have, Mark Williams, they're not going to be like, well, we can't sidestep Mark Williams if they truly believe in Maluach as a future All-Star. But for me, the concern probably would be Washington at 6. That's probably the biggest one. Washington has a nice collection of young wings already. I thought they actually did really well in last year's draft. Guys like Bob Carrington, Keontae George, Alex Sarr, in addition to Bilal Coulibaly, there's already something there on the perimeter. But I do feel like they need an actual true 5, and I can definitely see Washington, for example, jumping in and taking him at 6. Brooklyn at 8, it just could be interesting just because I don't know if they're really married to Nick Claxton like that. Nick Claxton seems like a trade candidate, and if they want to take Maluach at 8, Brooklyn's also kind of like I'm putting them there as a filler because it seems like they're desperate to make a trade. So I don't even know necessarily if they will actually use the 8th selection. But those are the 2 guys I'd really sort of look at. But in any case, if the Raptors have the chance to take Maluach at 9, certainly I've already on record. Like I could see the fit. I like the player. I see the floor is pretty high for him. But I do think that there is something that's happening where, people have sort of penciled him in at the Raptors pick for so long at 9 that people are starting to not necessarily like poke holes at it, but people are looking more deeply into it. And I think that people are finding things that are concerning. So one thing that came out from the combine were the measurements in terms of not just the wingspan and the hand length and the standing reach and the size, but also some of the athletic measurements. And for me, those were kind of interesting to see because I think to the eye test, Maluach isn't like a dominant athlete. He's not really quick twitch, explosive. This isn't like a young Dwight Howard. You know what I mean? This is a guy who, even though he is certainly young, but he does sort of move a little bit more slower. I wouldn't say he's slow overall because I do think he actually did really well this year when he had to, come out to the perimeter. Let's say he had to play different coverages. If you had to show at the 3-point line, even double at the 3-point line, blitz, you know what I mean? I thought those kind of scenarios, even when he was switched onto guards and some and wings, I thought he actually moved his feet decently. So I'm not going to say that he just he's not mobile, but at the same time, when you looked at some of the combine results, things like his shuttle run, his 3/4 court sprint, his lane agility, those did all measure out a little bit poor for a center. So those are things that are certainly, something to look at. I would love to see this is kind of goes without saying for pretty much any 18-year-old, but I would love to see him sort of continue to work on becoming more fluid and becoming more stronger in the base as well. I think in previous episodes when we talked about Maluach, and there's been at least 2 or 3, but he sort of struggled maybe to hold his ground against post-up players. I think it also shows up a little bit on the defensive glass. He gets kind of wedged out. Obviously, in the biggest game, his most infamous game for Duke in the last game against Houston in the Final Four, he famously had 0 rebounds before fouling out. So it's stuff like that, I think can be remedied mostly just by him getting stronger in the base because he doesn't really hold his position as well as you would like for somebody who is objectively a behemoth. But I do think that these are things that you would hopefully like to just continue to work with him on, getting him a little bit more fluid because the more that you're able to get the mobility and the strength to sort of own his spots and sort of maintain those, the more that his actual Goliath size really, really factors in when, you're talking about a guy who, again, has the same standing reach as Wemby, a guy who can really, really protect the basket for you and not just, ultimately be a guy who can, block shots, which right now he's actually not that strong of a shot blocker in terms of the raw numbers, but the rim deterrence, right? In terms of you're seeing a guy at the rim and you're actually not going for that shot because the threat of the shot being changed to shoot over top of somebody so big, that I think is something that's really bankable. And so I think at this point, I think most fans really do know what Maluach is, and people are either in or they're out. Certainly looks like, again, he is the most popular name here, and he would be somebody I'm more than happy with taking at the 9th pick. One thing that is interesting, too, from the Combine is you get to see them go through shooting drills, and, for me, I just love watching shooting drills just in general. But watching Khaman Maluach's shooting drills, he actually did pretty well. I'm not gonna lie to you, he did pretty well. I think he shot like 50% on standstill threes and also these movement threes, which you're seeing here. This is courtesy of Jonathan Giavoni, so appreciate him for getting the video. But you can actually see Maluach showcase the 3-point shot. Now, I think, look, people can always point out that the release is a little bit slow. The only thing I would say to that is, I mean, this guy's not going to be guarded at the 3-point line. Like Miles Turner's 3-point release isn't exactly quick, but when you're seeing him play pick and pop, he's open a lot of the time, simply because obviously most bigs prefer to stay in the basket and help position at the rim. Maluach is a guy who didn't really shoot the 3 much at Duke. Again, I think he shot like 25%, but most importantly, he just didn't shoot a lot of them. But in the Basketball Africa League, this is where he played prior to his last year, his lone year at Duke. He actually shot the 3, pretty consistently in terms of like just attempts. And again, like percentages are still to become. Like I think when you watch him shoot, it's not exactly like, he's a knockdown shot every single time. But I think this is probably for me the biggest swing skill for him, especially if he doesn't become more fluid, more athletic, more stronger. I mean, those things I generally think that I will bet on those things getting stronger just because the athletic training in the NBA and just more time to grow into his body. Like that's all kind of going to work in his favor as an 18-year-old. But the swing skill for him, and if there is a star potential, it probably is this specific thing where if he can be a guy who protects the rim but also can shoot it out from 3, then you're really interested in terms of like, okay, maybe it's not just like your traditional rim runner. And we already know he can be a good rim runner, right? Like he's already shot the ball really effectively around the basket. In his role at Duke, he was basically like, I mean, I want to say Clint Capella, but like, you know what I mean? Like that style of guy who can like roll to the basket and finish a lot of lobs. Obviously at Duke, there were lots of offensive talent, so they don't really need him to shoot the 3 much, So basically the times where he shot the 3, it was a lot of like, he's I don't know, like Duke was in a lot of blowouts, let's just say, right? So he can kind of like screw around and try a 3 once in a while. But I think long term, if he can get the 3 to drop, then all of a sudden you're really looking at a guy who potentially could have not just like strong, solid starting center ability, but maybe even all-star ability. Of course, it's something that you would have to believe in because right now, this 3-point shot, it's not the strongest just yet. I'll just say that much. I think this is, if it comes along, this probably comes along in 2-3 years at minimum. So in summary with Khaman Maluach, if you're just going to give the elevator pitch, like let's say you're in the elevator with Masai and you're just like, all right, this is why I think you should draft him. I think the elevator pitch is you can't teach size. He protects the rim for you. He finishes well when he's at the rim, but he's also he doesn't really have that full athletic pop, and he is relatively new to the game. And if it would be really great if the shot was real. So that's Khaman Maluach, who the Raptor fans, at least on the poll that I ran, certainly had as probably their favorite for the 9th overall pick. So we'll move on to the next name on the list, Derik Queen, another player that we've talked about a lot on this show. Derik Queen, very different from Maluach, but he's also a center. So he measured in at 6'10". Honestly, it's kind of between a 6'9" and 6'10". I think his height without shoes was like 6'8". So, but whatever. 6'10", 7'1" wingspan, 248 pounds. In his freshman year at Maryland, he averaged 16.5 points, 9.0 rebounds, 1.9 assists in 30.4 minutes. Shot 53% from the field, 20% from 3, although very low volume. Not a guy who really shoots much from there. And then 77% from the foul line. Totally different style of player than Khaman Maluach. 2 entirely different approaches from the center position. Derik Queen, he's a crafty paint scorer. He's got a variety of different pickup points in terms of how he can gather the ball, how he can get into his shot. There's just like it's night and day in terms of the maturity of like what he can do offensively. Those little, like he's almost like he's more forward-esque than center-esque when it comes to sort of like how he sort of attacks the basket. A lot of face-ups. Sometimes from the 3-point line, sometimes from, the high post, but, can get into his shot, and he bully balls, plays with his, uses his body to bang guys around, has some flip shots, some spin moves, some pivots. Like, it's just entirely different. Like, honestly, if Maluach had what Derik Queen has offensively, Maluach will be in contention to be like a top 2 pick in this draft. I'm not kidding. Like, Queen certainly has an offensive skill set He handles the ball pretty well too. There's multiple instances in college where he was, pushing the break as a center, which is pretty rare. And honestly, not just pushing the break like no one's contesting him, like pushing the break with some handle. A guy swipes in, spin, keep the handle alive, get downhill, play in traffic, and then make a pass as well. I think there's a passing potential there too with him. 1.9 assists isn't that high, but Maryland played a lot with two bigs, so Queen played a lot of power forward. Decent passer. Like there's certainly some dimes in that catalog. I know there's not a lot of passes, or I guess a lot of assists, but you could definitely see that he has some passing touch, some passing potential. The issue I think with him is, a couple things. One, he doesn't really shoot the ball that much. 3-point wise, again, he like pretty low 3-point volume, didn't shoot it that well either. I also think that like it's probably worth just watching a little bit of film on his shot itself, because honestly, when you're watching him in college, it didn't really seem that awkward. But we did actually get footage of what Derik Queen's shooting form looked like. Actually, courtesy of a friend of the program, Michael Grange, and as you can see, he's got like a weird so I guess for the podcast audience, so he's shooting baseline jumpers. This is probably like 18 footers, and he's kind of like I don't know. Jerome, actually play this video again. You know what I mean? He's kind of like wiggling his way into it, like he's sticking his butt out on the gather, and then when he actually shoots the ball, it looks fine. He's making the shot. What up, Jerome?
It just kind of looks like a high release Sean Marion.
Yeah. But he's not like, okay, Sean Marion had like that chest pass kind of thing going on.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a higher release, but just the fact that he like kind of places the ball like extended in front of him and like flicks it out.
Yeah.
Is very, like, it does remind me a bit of like Marion's shot that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not complimentary, because
Right.
even though Sean Marion did finish shots at a decent rate, especially the longer his career went. But yeah, it's a bit of an awkward shot, I'm not gonna lie to you. But offensively, yeah, I mean, like, he's mostly a guy who's gonna play around the basket, mostly a guy who I can see the Raptors running a lot of the similar actions that they run for Jakob with Derik as well, in terms of the dribble handoffs. A guy who can sort of be a hub for you, probably for the second unit for the time being. The swing skills is that he needs to sort of like stretch it out as well. I think the 3-point shot, if he can develop that, first off, I don't even know. Like the baseline shot looked a little shaky, especially based on sort of just like, again, empty gym. This is however he wants to shoot. Like, forget like a guy contesting or anything. This is just an empty gym. How does he look shooting? That didn't look that great. But, if you can stretch it out to the 3, all of a sudden you're talking about a guy who can be very dynamic for you offensively, and can work in a variety of lineups. In the meantime, though, I would have to say that defensively, the issues are real. And also, the combine numbers for, again, things like, the agility drills, whether that's the 3-quarter sprint or the lane agility or the shuttle runs, those were all pretty bad for Derik Queen. Now, we know that he's not like a plus athlete. He's a guy who plays closer to the ground. He certainly makes it work. Again, he's like more impressive when you watch tape rather than if you look at the combine numbers, right? Because he's just not an athlete in that way. But still, it is concerning. It's just like, damn, like how much of a, like, he's going to be a minus athlete like going into the league. I think that's a pretty big concern for him. The real thing is that he has the dexterity. He knows how to play around the basket. He has that size. And I think you just need to teach him a couple of different things. One thing, too, that shows up with the film when you watch, especially defensively, he's just like straight up all the time. You know what I mean? Like, he's just kind of like, not stiff, but he's just like straight up. I don't feel like he's in a stance. He doesn't feel as engaged defensively, and certainly there's a lot of moments where he's just not making a contest. And so I do wonder if that's just like he just didn't have the aptitude to play defense, or I don't know what it was. But in any case, he's a pretty skilled guy. Elevator pitch for Derik Queen is that he's a really solid, skilled offensive center, especially around the basket. He knows what he's doing in the paint. He can get it on his own. He's got a nice skill set to handle in the pass, but he does not defend, and it's a real concern because he's not really much of an athlete. So that's Derik Queen. Jerome Chang, I know you've been on Derik Queen Island.
I am. Very much. I just like anyone with a bag. It's definitely going to be the kind of pick for me where I will be thoroughly entertained when he's cooking, but I will understand entirely all the frustrations. But also, it's the 9th pick. I mean, like, I think if you get Queen at 9th, I don't think any of us are going to be mad about it.
No, I'm not mad.
Yeah. I actually wanted to share this part with you,
Okay.
just in talking about his shooting form in particular, and like at least some concerns about whether he can shoot with it. This is an extreme example, of course, but one of the weirdest shooting forms in the history of the league is one Kevin Martin,
Oh,
and
I mean,
and he's one of the best shooters and scorers
right.
like before too. But just
Wait,
in the
put
sense
that
of
photo up again. I can't tell if he's shooting or passing, man.
absolutely. But
Yo, is that a pass or a shot?
that is a shot. It was like it was a real janking looking shot,
yeah,
but
for
like
sure. He drew a lot of
yeah,
fouls because of this.
He
too,
drew
by
a
the
lot of
way.
fouls because of this. I think he also might have a 50-40-90 in his bag at one point, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I wouldn't quote
He's
me
got
on that
the
part.
ability for sure.
He's got the ability for sure, but just in the sense of like not in defense of my boy, but you know, you never know. Like shooting form is something they could definitely fix, but you know,
Yeah.
as they said in the comments, if it works, it works.
Right. Yeah. Okay, Derik Queen. That's your scouting report on Derik Queen. Again, like it's bag work, man. Like just type in Derik Queen on YouTube. Watch some. You'll see what I'm talking about. Like out of the centers that we're talking about here, he's got like probably the best bag. Actually, definitely the best bag. I'm not gonna say probably. Next name on the list was Jeremiah Fears. He is the first guard that is showing up on this list. Jeremiah Fears, 6'4", with a 6'5" wingspan, weighs in at 180 pounds. So like pretty much roughly the size of like a lot of point guards in the league. I think one of the comparables I think was like Drew Holiday. In my mind, Drew Holiday has like longer arms than what Jeremiah Fears measured in at. But in any case, like yeah, he's a really good athlete. He's very quick. He's very shifty. He averaged 17.1 points, 4.1 assists, 1.6 steals in 30.2 minutes per game as a freshman at Oklahoma. He actually had reclassified to play this year. He should really be graduating high school right now. And he took on a really, really big role for Oklahoma, a team that really needed him to just do the bulk of the creation for them. And he shot it at 43% from the field, 28% from three, 85% from the foul line. So he's really quick, really athletic, really shifty. He gets to the rim a lot. Doesn't finish well there just yet. I think that it remains to be seen whether or not he's going too quick, or there's a size issue, or there's just a finishing issue, or maybe a shot selection issue. Again, these are all things that you would really have to pour into more tape than, quite frankly, I have so far. But he gets to the rim a lot. I think that's the harder part is he has the skill set where it's the crossovers, it's the shift and the burst in speed, the change in speed, where he's able to get into good paint touches. I think one of the concerns for me is, once you get there and you're sort of airborne, you're really quick, are you going to make a good decision in terms of getting, under balance to some degree for a good shot and a good finish, or making the right pass out? One of the concerns is his turnovers were pretty high for a guy whose assists weren't that high either. But I think for me, that just really speaks to the difficulty and I guess like the approach to the game that he had, because I think the hardest part really is having the athleticism, having the handle to be able to shift and get into the paint and do some stuff there. I think he did really well in the combine. This is a guy who, unlike the two centers that we mentioned, where neither of them are like elite athletes, Jeremiah Fears is an elite athlete, and I believe he had what do you have? A strong max vertical of 39 inches. That's probably like second or third best in this class. And yeah, we can also see the shooting drills here. He did pretty well. He was the second strongest prospect in the off the dribble shooting drill. 80%. He made 24 of 30, and he was 8 of 10 on spot up threes, which is what we're watching here from Fears. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It looks like a smooth shooting stroke. Certainly as a guard, this is something that he needs to really do. As much as he's a guy who can get downhill, and that's probably the main primary asset that he brings you. But he's a guard. He's probably like 50% of his shots are going to be threes no matter what. Let's actually run this video again, because I kind of wanted to watch it a little bit closely too. Yeah, like it looks smooth. Like there's not like a hitch. It looks effortless. It's not like he's like stretching out too far to like have to hit the NBA three as compared to the college three. The form looks repeatable. It's a good rhythm to it. Like I think that's for me the one thing is just like how well he does in some of these workouts if the Raptors can get him in for a workout. But even for other teams, the more that he's able to showcase that the three is like a consistent part for him, I think that's where you have that counter of like you can hit the three, but also you can get downhill. And that's where it gets really exciting, because he is a guy who could really be electric for you getting downhill. So I could certainly see why Raptor fans want a guy like Jeremiah Fears. Quite frankly, there's not really a guy on the roster that has this specific skill set just yet. Maybe Emmanuel Quickly, I would say, but Fears, I think, plays a little bit more physical than Quickly does. Quickly, if he drives and gets to the lane, he's mostly going for the floater or like the scoop layups and stuff like that. I think Fears, probably wants to play through that contact a little bit more than IQ does. Of course, IQ is a very good shooter, and IQ is definitely a better player right now, let's be honest, man. But also, IQ is like 25. Like, Fears is like 18, 19 years old. So the elevator pitch for him is that this is a skill set that the Raptors really don't have right now. Athletic lead playmaker. I think there's a star potential, especially if he can figure out the balance between taking good shots versus taking bad shots, getting the 3-point shot down, but also finishing better at the basket. The issue is probably that he just needs the ball in his hands to be effective. Certainly, you didn't see a lot of off-ball reps for him in college. So there are some concerns in terms of, like, can he actually fit into a system where he's not the guy who has the ball all the time? Because he just, quite frankly, maybe he doesn't know how to play that much off the ball, or maybe he's just not that effective off the ball. And certainly with the way the Raptors currently play in their offense, under the Darko system, you just don't see a guy dominating the ball that much. So Jeremiah Fears is something that's really interesting, and I can certainly see the appeal for Fears. One of my concerns, too, is he probably can be taken before the Raptors at 9th. There's another guy along with Maluach where I'm like, if he's there at 9, I feel pretty lucky, and I have to really think about it. But yeah, Fears is really dynamic, totally different player than the previous two that we have mentioned. Fourth name on this list is Carter Bryant, and this is somebody who we didn't talk about much on this show, but his name is cropping up more and more. So he is a 6'7" small forward who has a 7-foot wingspan, weighs in at 220 pounds, averaged 6.5 points, 4.1 rebounds, and a block a game. I think also a steal per game in 19.3 minutes. He actually mostly came off the bench for Arizona this year as a freshman. Part of the reason why his minutes were low, and also his, I guess, overall stats are kind of low in terms of the counting stats, but the splits are decent. Shot 46% from the field, 37% from 3, and 70% from the foul line. So Carter Bryant's certainly a guy who's been shooting up the list. I think, when you see the profile of what he is, it certainly makes a lot of sense in terms of you just find a lot of examples of players like him in the league right now. He's a big, sturdy wing. Like, he's not fully grown into his body just yet. Like, I think that he is still only 19, and so, like, there is more time for him to grow. But he's already, like, shown that, he's got some bulk on him. I think that strength and size is going to be very important, because the main thing he does right now is offer switchability on defense as one of those bigger wings. But yeah, like, he was a McDonald's All-American, played for Arizona. Arizona actually had just a lot of good players, and so, ultimately came off the bench, whatever. When you watch the tape of him, he kind of plays within his role, doesn't really force anything. I think maybe in a Raptor context, kind of like what Ochai did for the Raps this year, is kind of like what he did at Arizona. He's mostly, taking catch and shoot threes, mostly playing in transition, and not creating his own shot all that much. I think that's pretty clear when you average 6.5 points. But yeah, I mean, like, he plays well within that role, right? I thought he did a pretty good job of, hitting those spot up threes. Those are probably the concern for him in high school. I think he shot at high 20s, maybe mid 20s in high school. Got that up to 37% in college, which is promising. I thought he made some pretty good decisions with the ball too, and the limited time that he had it, wasn't selfish with the ball. I thought he made some, extra passes, some hit-ahead passes in transition, read the floor decently. Although, again, I cannot stress this, he was not the guy playmaking for his team. He was mostly finishing. Again, think Ochai. And I think he has the size and aptitude to defend. I think that's the thing, right? The wingspan at 7 feet, 6'7" wing, like the Raptor comparable could be like a guy like OG, who OG actually had more success in Indiana when he played in college. He actually had to play 2 years because he tore his ACL. But OG I think did a little bit more offensively than Carter did. But I think you see the similar roles and maybe the body and the size. He can shoot the three. He dunked the ball a lot too, which I think is really good. Just as a sign of just being able to finish with force, right? I think that's one of the appeals with OG is that he defends a lot. He shoots a three well, and he dunks, quite a bit. I think that those are all sort of like really good baseline numbers to have as somebody who isn't your primary wing, isn't your number one option, number two option. He probably shouldn't even be your number three option, but certainly can be on the floor and be a positive contributor and hold his own, especially if that 3-point shot stays down. The defensive potential is there. I think he switched really well. I think Prami, just based on watching him, probably can guard 1 through 4, maybe 2 through 4 originally, but maybe we can give him ones eventually. This is from Synergy. Apparently, opposing scorers shot 29.5% on jump shots when guarded by Bryant, which I think speaks to just his length and his ability to stay in front. Certainly not a lot of footage of him getting beat. And he stays engaged too. I like that his energy stays pretty high. And so for me, really is just like, can the 3-point shot, stay? Because if so, then all of a sudden you're looking at a guy who can be a future 3-and-D type of wing for you. I thought I had loaded some film of him shooting. I guess I don't have it. Well, whatever. You could just watch some of the Carter Bryant film that you could just search on YouTube. But like it's a natural shooting form. It doesn't look like odd or anything like that. Like it looks consistent. It looks smooth. So it's really just about getting the reps, getting the footwork down. Again, a lot of these young players, if they don't come in the league efficient, that's not going to be an indictment. But I do really see him as like a future 3-and-D type. And honestly, if you watch some of the high school tape, which I did get a little bit deeper into the high school tape, which was kind of interesting. Did a little bit more offensively in high school, which I guess you could say for pretty much anybody here. But it did make me a little intrigued in terms of like, okay, if he can get the 3-point shot down, if he can really finish consistently around the basket, is that potential where you put 2 or 3 years more into it, where he starts to do a little bit more? Like, again, if he's going to follow an OG Anunoby pathway, when OG first came in, I think he averaged like 6 points as a rookie, but he started a lot because the Raptors needed a 3-and-D, big forward like that. And you compare where rookie OG was to like where OG is right now. You watch him in the playoffs, like he's doing 1-dribble pull-ups. He's handling a little bit. He's using the size to bully his way in. Or OG certainly was always very strong, very big. I think OG was already like 230 by the time he came into the league. Carter's not that big yet, and maybe he won't get there, but OG's starting to, like, I guess, learn more and more how to dribble. That was probably my major contention with OG offensively. It was just like this, the dribbling was nasty. But he's gotten to the point where it's more functional, and that's allowed his size and athleticism and shooting ability to sort of diversify. So hopefully, that's the elevator pitch. It's really short. It's just buying a little bit early on a future OG clone will be kind of fun. I could only see why people really like Carter. My concern is he just didn't play that much at Arizona. So like, I can't really bank it in that, like, okay, this guy who was mostly playing off the bench in Arizona is going to come in and be an OG clone. But I could see the vision, and I really don't see much reason to doubt it beyond that. It's just there's not a big sample based on how much he played in college. So I certainly see the vision with Carter Bryant. I think he got, 15 of the votes here. So that's interesting. Next name on the list, Colin Murray-Boyles, CMB. Filled the stat line across the board in college. So he was 6'7", measured at 6'7", with a 7'1" wingspan. So another one of these like plus wingspan guys, 240 pounds. And you can already see that he's, even though he has similar, let's say, height and measurements to a guy like Carter Bryant, he is more of a 4-5, maybe 3. Again, he would really need to shoot the 3 a lot better. But like a guy who played a lot of 4 at South Carolina, averaged 16.8 points, 8.3 rebounds, 2.3 assists in 30.6 minutes per game. Certainly very disruptive defensive as well. Didn't put those numbers in here, but a guy who got a lot of deflections. 59% shooting from the field, 27% from 3, 71% from the foul line. Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot, especially defensively. He can do a lot for you defensively. Like, I don't think that there's a pick and roll coverage where you're not comfortable with him playing. Probably weakest in drop just because he's not that tall. Like, we're talking about a 6'7" guy dropping. Even with the 7'1" wingspan and a decent standing reach, that's probably not going to be enough to protect the basket. Like, if imagine, like, I don't know, playing who's like a guy of his size, like Scotty. Scotty's actually bigger than him, but like let's say you play Harrison Barnes in a drop, like people are still going to go to the basket. You know what I mean? Like that's not that strong, but he has the physicality and the size to at least absorb some contact. He did a really good job of that in college. I remain to be seen if he can do that in the pros, where obviously people are much stronger and quicker and taller and more athletic. but he can switch really well for you. I think he can really trap pick and rolls. I think he can hedge. I think there's just a lot of variety. He like, if you watch some of the defensive footage, he rotates really well too. Like, he has good instincts to know where the next man is at, and he is able to, like, he just reads the game well. You know, like there's certain guys where like the rotations are like theoretical because you're like, okay, he's athletic, whatever. He looks like he's big and strong, but like they're not reading the game well. When you're watching Colin rotate on defense, you're like, okay, this guy really knows where to be, and there's like a real awareness and thought process that's like being put in real time in terms of how to defend, and that's what I like the most about him. Offensively, he's more of a connector. I think, okay, in college he was more of a scorer in terms of like, you can give him the ball, he can face up, he can get to the basket. Certainly got to the basket a lot, and in a variety of ways, not just post-ups, but rolls to the basket, cuts, something like that in transition. But I don't know, a lot of that just doesn't feel like that's gonna like work as much in the pros. Maybe similar to like a Mobo. You know what I mean? Mobo, obviously Mobo was much older. Mobo, I think, played 4 years in college. CMB, I think, this is his first. He's a freshman? Maybe? He might be a sophomore. That's my bad. I should have researched that beforehand. But in any case, like, it's kind of like that, where I was like, okay, Mobo in college can dunk the ball and be a huge threat in short rolls. Not just like making the extra pass, but finishing. And then when you go to the pros, you're like, okay, he can't do that in the pros. Like, he just needs to really work on that and get better and develop counters and maybe even shoot the outside shot. I could see CMB having to go through the similar thing, because right now I can't necessarily bank in one role for him offensively. Defensively, I certainly see it. He's got a great feet. He's got great balance. He plays multiple roles. He switches really well. For me, the specific fit on this team with the Raptors with Scotty and Mobo, and RJ and Jakob, I struggle to see it, just because there's just a little bit too much overlap. It's already a bit of a struggle to see the Raptors play currently when they have a really low attempt rate from three, because they don't have a lot of shooters. You put him into this mix, I just don't see him like helping at all offensively. The Raptors have a lot of guys who can do what he does well. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm actually really bullish on him as a pro. I think he certainly fell to the box score too, as a guy who really kills it in the advanced stats. But I think the fit is also pretty important for him, and he probably needs to go to a different team to sort of maximize on that fit. I'm going to show you some of the shooting as well. This unfortunately for him went a little viral, and I do feel a little bad, but that first shot is a wide air ball. He's shooting out of the corner right here. And so you can see he's a lefty. The form looks fine. Like, maybe he's shooting a little bit across the body, across the face. And maybe he's not a little bit more squared up, but I feel like that's the case for a lot of lefty shooters. They always look weird shooting the ball as compared to like righties do. But you could see there's some pretty erratic misses here. Like, there's not even a pattern in terms of like if he's shooting short a lot, which he's done here, or if he's airballing a little bit here or there. Like, he's making some, like, it's not like he can't shoot at all. Like, it's just maybe he's had like a bad shooting session here, and I do feel bad because it's like I think you get like 25 shots, so like maybe, who knows, you could just get cold for 25 shots. But in any case, yeah, I think this is probably the biggest swing skill for him. Is can he get the outside shot to drop, because he is kind of one of those classic tweener types that yeah, like a lot of his skill set plays, but damn, this looks like watching a mobile shoot at Scotiabank Arena. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So the elevator pitch for Colin Murray-Boyles is that he's a high field forward who could probably step into your rotation sooner than later, but don't expect stardom, and could be a little bit awkward in teams that don't have shooters. I just don't see him as a fit for the Raptors, but I do like him as a player, man. And I really feel like I feel unfair sharing that video from Jonathan Gervoni, just because like you might have just caught the guy on a bad day. So that one is a little bit unfortunate. Next up on the list, we have Noa Essengue, who I would say is maybe a bit of the international man of mystery here. So he's 6'10", with a 6'11" wingspan. He last measured in at 194 pounds. So he's obviously a bit of a lanky, skinny guy. Averaged 12.2 points, 5.3 rebounds, 1.4 steals per game in 23.7 minutes per game. This is in the Euro Cup. So this is like, I guess like Europa. Like, it's not like EuroLeague. EuroLeague is like where the top 20 teams play in Europe. Euro Cup is like the next division down. So I mean, the direct analogy is literally Champions League and Europa League. He's doing this in Europa rather than doing it in Champions League for anyone who follows soccer. But in any case, like, yeah, I mean, certainly has shown some decent. He's very intriguing. I'll say that much. He shot 56% from the field, 29% from three, and 66% from the foul line. So, yeah, not a lot of people know that much about him just yet, just because he's kind of like one of these like late risers. He's a French forward. He's the second youngest prospect on this draft behind Cooper Flag, and it's younger by 3 days. He played in Germany for Rashier Farm Ulm, which, I mean, it's pretty incredible how many future NBA players that these guys get. Certainly somebody's got to look into what specifically Rashier Farm Ulm is doing, because they're just pumping out all these prospects. He played with Ben Seraf, who's another guy who could probably be a first-round pick. And he represented France for the U18s. I think that maybe for people who haven't seen him, the idea is that he does like flashes of doing a little bit of everything, kind of like a positionless player, can handle a little bit, can shoot it a little bit, but can finish as well around the basket. Again, he's pretty skinny and lanky right now, so that needs to certainly be improved upon. He doesn't really have that NBA ready body, but he's got a workable handle. He can shoot a little bit. He can play make a little bit. There's a little bit of vision. And right now, I would say he's kind of like somewhere between C and B on pretty much every sort of skill right now. But there is not that one standout A-level skill that you're like, okay, this is the thing that he's going to do immediately and consistently do. Again, he's pretty skinny right now, and there's not really that much of a long history on him, at least not that I've found. One thing that's actually kind of intriguing is he actually did come to the States and played against the Portland Trailblazers in a preseason game. I think this was last year in preseason. You know how you get like some random international teams playing NBA teams sometimes in preseason. I think the Raptors played like a Sydney team or a team from I think a team from Sydney. No, maybe it was Perth. I don't know. Some team from Australia was here. I apologize to whichever team that was. That was the one with Bobby Klintman, who ultimately went as a second-round pick to Detroit last year. So I guess Rashier Farm Ulm actually came to play against Portland, and that game he had 20 points, 8 rebounds, and looked decent. So I'm actually going to show you that footage, because we don't actually have footage of him at the Combine. Looks kind of decent, I'm certainly not going to be complaining about sort of what he did in this context. So you can see him right there. He's on the fast break. He takes it in. You can see how long and lanky he is. Like, this is kind of like this is like Project 6ix9ine type of guy right here. This is him shooting over the top for three. That's a decent contest over, who was that? Was that Jeremy Grant? But anyway, like a decent sized wing, and he's still shooting over the top of these guys. Obviously this is a good game for him, like 20 points. This is not what he's going to do every single night. But yeah, you can see the skill set. Here he is, like filling in on the wing, making an extra pass to the corner, guys knocking it down. Here's one individual creation. He's attacking Duop Reith, another Australian. Drives, kicks it to the corner after drawing help. Just a decent read there. He doesn't have to do too much. He's bringing the ball up past half, does the same thing, makes the right kick out read. Another nice shot from the corner there by some of his unnamed teammates. Well, that's not him right there. Yeah, he's on the wing here. I guess Klingen drops, doesn't respect the three. He shoots the three over the top of him. I think, again, like, you can see, like, there's a bit of a feel there. There's him just reaching in around the wings there and being able to finish put back around the basket. There certainly is a skill set there. I think that, like, more than anything else, is probably the frame that needs to fill out. He looks noticeably smaller and skinnier than the rest of the NBA players on the floor that he's playing against. But, it's intriguing. It's intriguing. Certainly it's a guy that you need to watch more and more tape on. Again, just based on the level of competition, it's a little bit difficult to sort of fully judge. But I will have to say that being able to play against pros and being able to succeed in a rotation against pros is already a pretty good sign. So basically the elevator pitch, and again, this is probably the one prospect on here that this is definitely the one prospect I've watched the least. The elevator pitch is, do you want to gamble on the latest French wing? You got to really trust your scouts on this one. Maybe he's a future Nick Batum. Maybe he's a future Tijan Salon. Maybe he's a future Bilal Koulibaly. I don't know. The French programs are just pumping out wings left, right, and center, and there is just a lot of talent coming out of France right now. But yeah, Noa Essengue, I think there's something really interesting there. This is somebody I definitely, with more time, would like to watch more film on, just to get a better sense of sort of like how he plays, even within a game context, rather than just looking at highlights. But interesting. Vision 6'9", back at it again if we take him at the 9th pick. Next up on the list, man, this is a long list. Kasparas Jakucionis. We're more than halfway through. Kasparas Jakucionis, a name that people should be relatively familiar with at this point. He's been pretty high up on the draft boards pretty much all season. 6'6" point guard with a 6'8" wingspan, weighed in at 205 pounds at the combine. Averaged 15 points, 5.7 rebounds, 4.7 assists in 31.8 minutes per game this past year at Illinois. Shot 44% from the field, 32% from three, 85% from the foul line. Kasparas is, he's nice. He's certainly got some skills. I think that, you watch him and the way he was able to play make, the way that he was able to. I think the biggest thing is for a lot of guys in college, because of like college is a lot of systems, coaches have a bigger say. There's a lot more zone. You're playing weird opponents, stuff like that. Like, a lot of college tape for me like looks a little bit stranger. Watching Kasparas, I'm like, oh, he's just playing an NBA level game in college. Like, this is the NBA approach to how guards sort of play. Like, he's a guy who he's a big playmaker, shoots it well from three, shoots it from the mid range as well. I think he draws a lot of double teams just based on, the way he's able to sort of play make off the dribble when he's either getting downhill or shooting from three. And so that way he draws a lot of extra defenders at the 3-point line. And that's where he's able to play make a lot from that. If not that, he's driving to the rim and he's making some plays from that. But yeah, like a lot of off the dribble jumpers, man. I think that's probably the thing that's probably informing the fact that the splits aren't that efficient. It's like he just, like for example, one of the wildest stats with him was 70% of his threes were off the dribble. So that's why you can't just look at raw 3-point percentage, because you don't know if that's being set up for you. Like, it's totally different if you're wide open in the corner, feet set, everything like that. You're driving, someone else is driving, kicks it to you in the corner. You maybe have a closeout, maybe you don't have a closeout, and you're just shooting a wide open three. That's a totally different three than if you're handling the ball, you're getting the screen, you're making the read, you're seeing where your defender is, if he's getting hung up on that screen, where the help is, if they're showing on that three, and then of course getting your full work down and shooting with some momentum off the dribble. Like, totally different things, right? And so when you're looking at Kasparas, even though his 3-point percentage is 32%, and you're like, why am I saying he's a strong 3-point shooter? You got to watch the film. Like, he got a step back jumper, especially driving to his left. He got a step back jumper going left. Yeah, and I think that's probably where, like, you're seeing, like, honestly, the film of him playing at Illinois is probably going to look very similar to the film of him playing in the NBA, because he's going to take a similar approach. He's not the most athletic. I think that this is something that hits for a lot of white players, except for basically Cooper Flagg. But, like, I think that there is some truth to that. You see him getting stuck in the paint sometimes when he's driving to the basket, and he actually has to sort of create more. Like, he'll try to go for pivots and stuff like that. I think he has a decent amount of that in his game. But you also saw a decent amount of him getting stuck when he drove, and he had to go for weird finishes and couldn't really convert them as efficiently as you would want. Although he did shoot 64% on layups, so I don't mind that number for a guard. But there are certainly some tape of him getting just basically stuck on his drives because he's kind of out of options. Turnovers are also kind of high too. I would say he got blitzed a lot. Certainly, I would say he got blitzed more than the average point guard in college, just based on his skill set. But yeah, I like his game, honestly. I think maybe the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, this is like, is there more potential here? And I do have some concerns because his game already looks kind of like, not refined, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you could certainly tell that he's got experience playing. It's not a bad thing, but like, he already played pro for Barcelona's B team, which is not uncommon, right? A lot of players in Europe play for pro club development teams, and so him playing at Barcelona is not a surprise. Nothing like particularly revolutionary, but like, you could tell that he's already kind of more refined. He's got the skill set, and it's really just about picking his spots and maybe getting a little bit stronger. But he's also physically kind of developed too. Like, 205 pounds, 6'6", like, that's kind of, you don't really want him to be bigger than that. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of like where he is right now. He's got some strength. I don't know. He's a guy who, like, I like him. Like, I think watching it the second time around, realizing that basically the way he's playing in college is going to be the way he plays in the NBA. I don't think it's going to be as big of a jump for him to find a different role, and it's really just about can he get the shot down consistently and how high he can get that down, because I mean, for his style of play, he's probably going to be a guy who probably shoots 50, maybe 60% of his shot from three. You know, in terms of like his shot volume is like largely going to be like threes, and if he can get that down, all of a sudden his playmaking and stuff like that comes down. I'm going to show you a couple clips of him shooting from the combine. Once again, this is thanks to Jonathan Gervoni for the video here that we're showing, but this is him at the draft combine. Yeah, I mean, like, I think maybe some people pointed out that it's a little slow in terms of just, like, the load up. But for me, I think that's perfectly fine. Again, if you watch him in college, if your shot's slow and you're shooting pull-ups, you're probably going to get blocked. He's not getting blocked. I think that, like, this is just him in a comfortable rhythm, shooting in a gym. You can see that it's pretty repeatable form. You know, he's getting good arc on it. There's good rotation on the ball. Again, it's a pretty consistent sort of shot for him. You know, he's got the footwork down. You can see him doing a little 1-2, left foot first, right foot slightly forward second, and there's just a good rhythm to it. Like, you know, his style of game, I don't know. I could see him maybe being like Bogdanovich-esque. Bogdanovich, I mean, I guess this is, I got to clarify, Bogdanovich, the one that's on the Clippers right now. Bogdanovich, you know, came to the NBA late. I think he played for like in Europe, I think until like 28, and then until he finally came over. Yeah, he was also a first-round pick. Bogdanovich was, and you know, primarily you see him in the NBA playing more off-ball than you see him playing on the ball. I think Kasparas is more of a guy who plays on the ball, but like that style of player. And certainly I think that, you know, there's a good usage for that. I think maybe my concern is, can he be a starting level point guard just based on his skill set? A lot of that comes down to his defense, which I didn't really talk about. He's not a bad defender, but you know, certainly he's not a plus defender. I would say he's probably average, and if he stays average, I think that's more than fine of an outcome. But yeah, like this is a pretty polished guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I think that he's gonna have a pretty good rookie year too, especially depending on where he lands. So Kasparas, the elevator pitch is probably at worst he's a backup point guard, but maybe there's a little bit more potential to start for you. Can probably play on the ball and off the ball based on how well he shoots that three. But I like Kasparas. He's a good shout here. Those are the guys who got 13 votes. As we move down here, these kind of guys are a little bit more fringe. These are guys who got less than 10 votes, but are maybe rising. Again, like I would love to see how fans' opinions of these guys sort of progress over the next month or so. Next name is Rasheer Fleming, whose name I heard a lot more recently. So yeah, he's a junior. He's 21. Most of the players I named on this list were freshmen. So I think that's pretty sort of like important to note here. But yeah, Rasheer Fleming, he's a junior. He's 21 years old. He played at St. Joseph's in the Atlantic 10. He is he measured in at 6'9", with a 7.5 wingspan. It's pretty ridiculous, honestly. He weighs in at 232 pounds. He averaged 14.4 points, 8.5 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. Actually got a ton of steals as well. In 31.3 minutes per game last season. Shot 53% from the field, 39% from three, 74% from the foul line. His story is pretty incredible. So he was a 0-star recruit, which you would, I mean, that's pretty rare, man. If go from 0-star recruit to getting to like potentially a 9th pick would be just, I'm not unheard of, but it certainly is like a pretty rare sort of thing. Like a lot of these guys have been known even from the high school level in terms of like they're All-Americans and stuff like that. Like, you know, McDonald's All-Americans. Rasheer Fleming, I mean, 0-star recruit, man. You know, he grew a lot from high school. Certainly, I think that's, you know, you look at him right now, he's certainly filled out. I think he's hit his growth spurt both size-wise, in height, and also in his frame. He's actually pretty solidly built. I would say he's like he's pretty solid. Like he's a 3-4, but he's more of a 4 than he's a 3, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like he's got that grown man body. I think he could play 3 or 4. He's actually got a +9 wingspan, especially if you measure, I guess, without shoes. +9 wingspan, which is the difference between his wingspan and his height, is 9 inches. That's the longest sort of like delta that we've seen in the draft this year. Certainly very impressive. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, is more than anything else, is just he's really shown a lot of improvement. And I think a track record of improvement is really not just admirable, but I think actually really telling of someone's character. Like if you actually see somebody really figure it out in college, I think that that's a good sign that they're a hard worker, and that B, that, you know, they have the aptitude to learn and grow. And you're seeing that with Rasheer. So I think the knock against him is that he's older and that obviously he's physically filled out. So there's not like this like potential just based on sort of him getting bigger or him getting more experience. I think you're already starting to see that sort of factor in. He's like more ready-made as compared to like the previous names that we listed on this thing, right? Which are largely freshmen. But I don't know. He's also just good. I think that's probably for me. It's just like a team taking him. I think they'd be pretty happy with him. One of the interviews I watched last night was actually just him talking to a draft channel called League Him, and he's sort of just discussing the film that he's watching and some of the defensive plays that he's making, and hearing his thought process in terms of like what he's doing and specifically what he's actually trying to achieve with his positioning, with a step here, with a reach here, with like pressing up here, dropping off here. Like you could definitely tell he's a very calculated defender. He talks a lot about sort of how he can bait guys into making the decision that they don't want to make. Actually, watching the film, it kind of reminded me of the way Scotty plays, because Scotty's defense is a lot of like him not necessarily being as solid as possible and staying in front as much as possible and being just like down, but Scotty is aggressive. Like he tries to like force you into making the moves and then thinking that you have an angle to drive, for example, but then knowing that you have the length to sort of meet him at the rim. See a lot of Scotty blocking shots that way or getting steals that way. Rasheer similar in that sort of way. And I like kind of that style where you're kind of like more aggressive rather than sort of staying more solid. But he got a lot of blocks and steals, and without gambling, I would say. I think a lot of it, again, is really calculated. He fights really tough for rebounds, too. Just kind of a tough player, man. And I really appreciate and I like the growth that he's shown so far. Ninth, I guess, is kind of feels a little optimistic, only just in the sense that, like, we haven't seen him that high in the draft charts just yet. But again, like a lot can change. And again, it really depends on how he interviews, how he comes in for workouts. I don't actually have the shooting for you in terms of like what he actually did at the combine, but it's kind of, I think, maybe informative just because maybe this is the first time people are watching or hearing about him. Just to watch some of the tape. So this is a Draft Express mix. Again, I'm just, taking their video, but obviously full credit to Draft Express. And you're getting a sense of like sort of the style of player that he is. So you're seeing a lot of him rolling and dunking at the basket. Certainly a guy who's finishing above the rim, one-handed, two-handed dunks. Right there, he takes contact, step through, and he still dunked it, which is nice. But yeah, you're seeing, I think the major growth in his game is the outside shot. That's certainly something he's really put work into. Again, he finished the year at 39%. But you're seeing not just like, first off, foot on the line, standstill threes, but like a little bit deeper from the NBA 3-point line or from the college 3-point line. And you're seeing a little bit off movement as well. Again, I'm not expecting him to come in and be Klay Thompson or anything like that. Like that's not what we're really anticipating. But again, like not somebody who's simply just like catch, stand still in the corners. I feel like, for example, you compared him to like a Carter Bryant, who also has a similar profile. Carter Bryant, I feel like, had a lot more offense set up for him versus I think Rasheer Fleming. Not only is he 2 years older, but you're seeing much more of a diverse offensive skill set. He's taking guys off the dribble, making the next extra pass. Again, he's attacking, spins, turns, draws the double, makes a great pass into the corner. Honestly, I like how early he made that pass too, because that pass wasn't immediately obvious, just based on his original drive, but he kicked across court. Like, I don't know. I think watch some more film on him, because I know that I don't know, man. The Atlantic 10 wasn't that strong this year. I'm not gonna lie to you. It doesn't feel like he's, again, like even when you just watch the tape of college, you're like, okay, some of these guys he's playing against, like they just don't look that like. I mean, he's not gonna be playing against these guys in the NBA, but I don't think he's a guy who's like looting off of his size and sort of profiting off of that idea of like, okay, he's playing against lower competition. Like he's got an NBA ready body, man, and I think the skill set, especially if the three can drop, I think it's really good. Like maybe a month ago, maybe even 2 months ago, when you're originally thinking about where the Raptors would pick, you're not going to have this guy in mind in terms of just because you don't think the Raptors are going to drop to ninth. And you haven't necessarily heard as much about him because he's not playing for a big program. Like St. Joseph's is just not a big program. And like that collegiately in terms of scouting. But the more you sort of watch and sort of like see the way in his approach to the game and even hear some of the interviews, like I like him, man. I like him. And honestly, I know this will be a bit of a, I don't even say a reach, but like if the Raptors end up taking him at 9, it'll be a little bit of a surprise, but he's nice. I wouldn't be unhappy with this one. I could certainly see how his skill set will play in the NBA. Probably initially as 3 and D, but there looks to be a little bit more. And again, I really do like seeing growth and improvement in the college level. Again, going from a 0-star recruit to the level he's at right now, where he's going to be a first-round pick, is already pretty fun. to see. Honestly, like Pascal, for example, a similar guy to this. Although, very big difference. Pascal was 27th pick, and we're talking about the 9th pick right now. But still, pretty solid pick, Rasheer Fleming. I want to speak through the last three because, honestly, I don't really want to talk as much about these other guys. But Thomas Sorber, another name that is popping up a little bit more. I think he got, how many votes did he get here from the poll? Seven votes for Thomas Sorber. 6'10", center, 7'6" wingspan, 263 pounds. He was a freshman center for the Georgetown Hoyas. Another classic. Georgetown gets a nice big and develops them. That's like the number one thing that they do as a program. That and also Allen Iverson, of course. 14.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, 2 blocks per game. Actually got a bunch of steals too. 31.3 minutes per game. Shot 53% from the field, 16% from three. Obviously not a three-point shooter for a center, and 72% from the foul line. So I think offensively, kind of classic Georgetown center. Face-up game, a little back-down games, plays strong. He plays brave at the basket. I think there's a lot of clips of him just kind of like beasting people at the rim, which I think is always kind of fun to watch. And a face-up jumper, probably 15, 16 feet. Certainly has the potential to maybe potentially expand that. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's going to be like your primary offensive player, but certainly has a bit of an offensive skill set where, again, like this is different from Maluach, who is not going to have the ball in his hands. Just based on his skill set. Sorber, he's a guy you could do a little bit more from. I didn't see a lot of like dribble handouts and stuff like that in the tape. Certainly in the NBA, he probably play a lot more of that in the maybe more pick and roll. You saw a lot of post up play and maybe isolation play. You just probably won't see that as much on the Raptors. I mean, you definitely won't see that as much as the Raptors, but the offensive profile is basically a guy who, can bang and score. And I'm honestly pretty aggressive. I don't want to say he's a banger. Like, he's not like Reggie Evans or something like that around the basket. Like, he's got some skill set to finish around the rim. I wouldn't say that I'm going to run my offense through him, though, just yet. However, defensively, that's where it gets interesting. So first off, he's got the second biggest delta in terms of like the plus between his wingspan and his height. He's plus 8.75 inches. So certainly a guy with crazy long arms. Again, 7'6" wingspan, but he's 6'10". Like, that's pretty absurd. Like Maluach, for example, was 7'2", and he has a 7'7" wingspan. He's 6'10" with a 7'6" wingspan. So the wingspan's already kind of crazy. I think some of the comparisons were drawn to like a Wendell Carter Jr., who has kind of a similar profile. And I guess if you got Wendell Carter Jr. with the 9th pick, you wouldn't be upset at it. I think Wendell went 5th, maybe. But in any case, yeah, he's very defensively disruptive. The way Georgetown played, they had a lot of size, but they played him a lot at center. He was mostly at the rim. Like, there's not that many. I mean, he did switch out, obviously. Like, that's just kind of how you would. And, you maybe see him occasionally guarding out the three-point line. But he was certainly a guy who was protecting the back line. And I thought he did a really good job of it, man. He doesn't really have to jump too high. He doesn't really sky for blocks. He stays in front. Decent mobility, and he just has that crazy length where guys kind of try him because they're like, okay, I can kind of see the rim because he's 6'10". Like, if I'm a big or if I'm a forward, I'm like, okay, I could see the rim over a 6'10" guy. But then you start to try to shoot, and this guy's like, oh, just kidding, my wingspan's like 7'6". All of a sudden, like, you could just see him like blocking a lot of shots. And quite frankly, I do find it impressive that he wasn't having to sky for these blocks. He was just blocking a lot of shots simply with his length and just contesting. Certainly engaged on that end. I think he's got a bit of nasty to him. Like I think he's from Philly, basically. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't really know people from Philly with chill, to be frank. Like, kind of everyone from Philly is a little bit like Kyle Lowry. So like, he's got a little bit of that kind of nasty to him as well. You could definitely tell even just watching some of the clips and the highlights. Offensively, going back to that, I think I like that he finished with both hands. Like, obviously he's a right-handed player. Shoots the jumpers right-handed, but he got a bit of a righty hook, and then but he can also finish with his left. Like, it's not like he's gonna always try to go back to his right hand. Like, he's not like a Julius Randle always going back to his left. So he has the ability to finish with both hands. But really, it's just the size, the length, the athleticism. Quite frankly, I'm a little surprised that you haven't really seen him as high on these draft charts. Maybe it's because, again, as a Raptor fan, I was mostly focusing on the top 10. But I never saw his name once in the top 10. But he has that skill set and potential to potentially be in that range. I don't even know if I have a video for him, to be honest. Maybe you could just go watch it yourself. Honestly, yeah, just go watch it. I think for some of these other guys, I'm not going to show the video because I kind of want to speed through them. But Sorber, pretty interesting. Probably would be my 3rd pick as a center for the Raptors. I probably would still take Queen over him. even with the offensive concerns or defensive concerns. But I think Queen has that skill set that I think is like, especially the handle and the ability to sort of like even just attack from the 3-point line and just drive. You just don't see a lot of centers with the ability to drive. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of around the basket, catching, finishing, put back, stuff like that. But driving the ball as a center, I think, is really interesting. Sorber has a little bit of that too. Like I'm not going to argue that. I think he's like a little bit worse than well, I think he's like one step down worse on offense than a guy like Derik Queen, but still better offensively than Khaman Maluach. Maluach I would put as the best impactful defender. Sorber probably second, and Derik Queen is certainly a distant third on the defensive end of the floor. But, you know, solid banger, kind of a big. I like him, and we'll see maybe if the outside shot drops around. But the wingspan's kind of crazy, man. I don't know what to say. Last two names, Egor Demin got 7 votes. Talked a lot about Egor Demin earlier in the season when we got Sam Vecini on. And I think Sam, I had him at 3rd on his draft board. This is probably back in like November. Also, this is how bad the Raptors season was like we were doing draft content in November. That's certainly never been done in my 8-9 years of potting on the Raptors. But anyway, Egor Demin, freshman, point guard, but obviously a very, very big point guard, 6'9", with a 6'10" wingspan, weighs in at 199 pounds. Yeah, 199 pounds. Averaged 10.6 points, 3.9 rebounds, 5.5 assists in 27.5 minutes per game as a freshman at BYU. Shot 41% from the field, 27% from 3, 70% from the 3, or from the free throw line. With Egor, it's the Division 6'9" thing, man. It's the big point guard. You know, I think when it works, you're like really, really enamored. Like you're like, whoa, the passing is good. I certainly think that he's a guy who makes early passes. He makes a variety of passes. You know, he's a guy who makes live passes off the dribble, but also makes some good reads. You know, pushes it in transition. I think one of the comparisons was Josh Giddey, which I don't know. I don't see that. Josh Giddey is like similar to a lot of Australian players. He loves playing for the contact and then sort of playing out of that and pushing the pace. And, you know, if he has to shoot the 3, he will. And certainly this year, Josh Giddey shot the 3 a lot better. And I think Chicago's system, I guess not even system, but his role empowered him to sort of make more decisions offensively as compared to like OKC, where there's clearly other better offensive players who need the ball, like Shea and Jalen Williams, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I don't see that physicality element with Egor. If anything, like I see him sort of like being bumped and pushed around way more than a guy like Giddey. Giddey bullies guys. He does. He just doesn't look like it, but he does do that. Egor, though, like fluid, languid, you know, will get into the paint as well. And when he gets into the paint, I think good things happen. I think he kind of like can finish around the basket with his length. Again, he's a 6'9" point guard. I think there's just an intrigue in that sort of skill set. For me, like, based on where he is at right now, I do see like he's probably going to need 1 or 2 more years at minimum just to sort of get back into like he's got to bulk up. I think there's like a lot of things I could see him sort of like not necessarily thriving at initially. Defensively, he's just kind of okay, probably a little slightly minus just based on his size. But if he gets a little stronger, if he gets a handle tighter, I think if he gets a 3-point shot down, there's certainly maybe potential there to like there's a little bit more star potential. Just you have to kind of like squint to see it. But I can maybe see the vision with Egor. His highlights are really impressive, and I really do like the passing reads that he makes. And again, anytime you're talking about a 6'9" point guard, he's really interesting. But I think the reason he's lower on this list, he's kind of lower on this list for me too. I just there's a lot of ifs more than anything else. So that's kind of the elevator pitch. Do you want Vision 6'9" back? Because if he comes in the league and he's basically Delano Banton, it can't be a surprise for you. Do you know what I mean? So, and then the last name on the list with 5 votes at the very end, Asa Newell. I've seen Asa Newell like pretty consistently in that like 8 to 15 range on draft boards all season. He's okay, so he's 6'10" with a 6'11" wingspan, 224 pounds. Yeah, averaged 15.4 points, 6.9 rebounds, a block per game in 29 minutes, 54% shooting from the field, 29 from 3, 75% from the foul line. For me, he's probably like a 4, but he offensively kind of has only the skill set to play as a 5 right now. Very bouncy athlete, gets on the glass, plays, putbacks, lobs, plays above the rim. He's kind of one of those kind of types. The issue for me is just like, I would love for him to be bigger to sort of play in that sort of style. Maybe one comparison people draw is like Derek Lively. I don't know why Lively became like Actually, Lively became like the future Tyson Chandler, because for a while, everybody who was like a rim running skinny center was like Tyson Chandler. I feel like he literally took over that exact profile in terms of like, this is the archetype now is Derik Lively, but kind of like Lively as catches lobs with that. Offensively, he's not a guy you can just give the ball to and just like create or maybe there's a little bit there, but I think more than anything else, you're looking at him as that bouncy athlete. For me on the Raptors, I given the fact that there's a number of other centers available in this range at 9, I'd probably take another one of these. I think he's gonna be a solid player. I think he has athleticism. He's light on his feet. I think those things are gonna be good. He can probably switch a little bit defensively, but yeah, I think for me, I don't know. I've watched the tape on him a couple times, and I just like never come away like that impressed. I'm not disappointed either in terms of like he's not like, okay, he's gonna be a bust based on X, Y, and Z, but you know what I mean? Like he's gonna be fine, man. I hope he plays with good guards who can really draw help and draw 2 defenders, and then he can sort of roll behind. But for me right now, I probably take some of the other centers. So I don't even want to take too much time on Asa Newell. I apologize to Asa, but maybe if he's good, then I apologize. But yeah, those are the top 11 names that Raptor fans selected in terms of who they would want potentially at 9. Of course, the sleeper pick, which is not actually an actual player, but Trade did get 18 votes out of the 213 that I was able to collect here. And, I think some of that for me is like lingering disappointment in the sense that like I think people just like see 9th pick, see the Raptors drop 2 spots, and they're like, well, we should trade it. I think there's part of that also speaks to just how many players seems available right now for trade, and it'll be kind of interesting if the Raptors ultimately do, get themselves into conversations. I think the Raptors have shown themselves to be pretty flexible, and they're not going to commit to just one strategy. They're more pragmatic like that. Like if they see a good opportunity to buy low, like they did with Brandon Ingram, I can certainly see the Raptors potentially trading the pick. Giannis, I mean, if you're going to tempt Milwaukee with the 9th pick, I don't know. Like, okay, if the Raptors had won or jumped up in the lottery into 2, 3, or 4, immediately throw that into Giannis trade package. 100%. I'm cool. Like, you know what? Vijay Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, it was great to get to know you. Even think about you for a month, but ultimately we're trading you. Like, they would have been like Wiggins on the Cavs. Like, I'm trading him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting rid of him for a veteran all-star. But 9th, I feel like now all of a sudden 9th can be like maybe your 2nd or 3rd best asset that you're throwing into a trade. And I think that like Milwaukee, if they were to agree to something like this, would really need to see somebody on the board that they really like and they identify that like, I want him, and that's a draft night conversation you can maybe have. But ultimately, like, maybe if you got the 2nd pick, you could talk yourself into like maybe not having to put Scottie in that trade. Most likely you probably would have anyway, but this will be like Scottie plus 9 plus like Jacoby Walter and plus future firsts. And at that point, I'm just like, I mean, it is Giannis. And if he wants to come here and re-sign here and spend his career here, who am I to say no? That would be a game changer, like for me, career-wise, for us as fans, to get to watch an all-star, an all-time great. But I'm just saying the 9th pick doesn't have the same sway as if the Raptors jumped, and I think that's pretty obvious to say. You also saw a lot of people saying trade down, and I don't mind that because the draft does seem more and more flat. Like the shape of the draft, I think Masai said it too. From basically 3 to 12, I think there's like a good like even range there in terms of like it depends on maybe who you like the eye of the beholder, but also like how they specifically fit with your team. And so that could be really interesting. So who the Raptors may have much higher on their board. Like I think they had Jacoby like top 5 on their board last year, and he was available at 19. Like I think it can be similar to that kind of shape. The issue with last year was there was not even a consensus number 1, let alone a consensus 1, 2, 3. So I think that this year, obviously Cooper's going to go number 1. There's no doubt he's going to the Dallas Mavericks. Number 2 is only interesting in the sense that it's going to be Dylan Harper, but it's a real question whether or not San Antonio is going to use that pick or not. Because if I were San Antonio, I would call Wemby right now, or I would ask Wemby to call Giannis to be like, hey, do you want to form the freakiest team of all time? You can come here, 0 state income tax, play in a historic program, obviously for San Antonio. And again, like just imagine the highlights, we'll never see basketball played in the way that we've seen it played if Giannis ultimately teams up with Wemby. Like that would be actually absurd. Quite frankly, unfair. But I'd be trading number 2 pick to Milwaukee and letting Milwaukee sort of restart and the rebuild, which they clearly need. But in any case, those are the results. Thanks everyone for actually sending in your votes. And I would be curious to do a version of this a month from now where we're able to just sort of like look at the change in temperature on some of these guys and sort of where people are with these certain names. But it was fun to do this exercise. And Jerome, it'd be fun to sort of see what the chat was saying this whole time because it was just me talking for 80 straight minutes.
You're cooking, man. Just before we get to that, a quick update from Michael Grange.
Oh, okay.
Got a few questions in with Derik Queen, center for Maryland. Told me he met with the Raptors this morning. He's one of the most highly regarded bigs in the draft.
Woo!
So that's what Michael Grange tweeted just a bit earlier. Shout out to the chat for flagging it. Granger.
Danny.
But yeah, so I mean, not a surprise. Of course, we've been talking. It's the second most favorite pick right now from fans that we asked. Derik Queen in the mix.
Yeah, I should text the front office this poll, the results. Of this poll.
That was actually one of the things from it. Which brings us to let me pull this up here. And now it's time for the Tangerine Fan Inbox. Tangerine is the official bank of the Toronto Raptors, foundational partner of WNBA Canada and NBA Canada. And of course, they're not just fans of basketball, they're fans of basketball. They're fans of fans who will cause a civil war over whether Kasparas Jakucionis is a good 9th pick. If you're hearing this, there's no doubt in your commitment. Fans like you are at the heart of what makes this game great. So while we continue to bake our NBA draft by until June 25th.
God,
Tangerine.
Google Sheets from us, man. Jesus.
Tangerine is turning the spotlight from the court to the stands and celebrating the way Raptors fans support their team because this is how we fan and this is how we draft. To learn more, visit tangerine.ca/basketball. Yeah, we got a lot of comments. Honestly, I suppose like you can just put together a Twitter Spaces or something, but we have a lot of people who have been looking intently at the draft. I'm sure they've been looking all season because of the way the Raptors were playing. Here, we're going to start with some light stuff here. First off,
let's do it.
CMB is a hell of a nickname, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's just as a great, a little bit of a YMCMB, maybe young man CMB, yes. Oh, man. All right.
All right. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
CMB is kind of cool.
Yeah.
CMB's cooler than CB4, let's just say that much.
There you go. Not going to lie, I think Kasparas would be a decent get. I don't know if that's unpopular. You kind of gone through it already. Kasparas actually felt like one of the more divisive picks in the chat.
So what were people like? Why did people not want him? Why did people want him?
I mean, I think for the most part, it's like kind of the breakdown in your game. Like for the same reasons people want them, they also don't want them. Like people are just like not. I think it's just like a real strong thing from the style that it display. Like for example, I have this flagged here. Someone believes Kasparas is literally better than Quickly. Would you believe that?
I think it's the potential to be better than Quickly.
Sure. Okay.
But right now, I don't think he's better than Quickly, which doesn't say much. Like I mean, I would certainly hope our starting point guard is better than any sort of incoming rookie that's not like Cooper, for example. But like,
fair.
Yeah, I see the skill set. I see that he's got more size and strength. Again, like I mentioned, he plays through contact a little bit better than Quickly does. That's not to say that Kasparas is going to be like blasting to the rim or anything. Like, don't expect John Wall. Like, yeah, I mean, like I think for me the issue is there's not like for some of these young players, you're like, okay, I can factor in potential because they're going to grow.
Right.
I can factor in potential because they're going to get more experience playing the game. I can't really factor in as much of that with Kasparas just because I feel like he's already physically filled out and he's already, like similar to a lot of European players, come over and already started playing pro.
Right.
So, yeah. But, I mean, I like his skill set as is already, so that's not a real issue for me.
On that similar note, please, no more guards in the first round.
Just no more guards, period?
Just no more guards? I guess draft no more guards? I don't know. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean,
fair.
I think one of the things that was kind of telling about this was how many centers showed up on this list. Because I got cut off some of the guys who, like, if you didn't get 5 votes in the poll, I just didn't put you on this list, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
a name that was floating around a lot in the chat that we didn't get to but has been mentioned before is Khan Knipple.
The nipple man.
The nipple man, yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
You're good.
I'm surprised, honestly. I'm surprised that people didn't vote for Khan. Maybe they thought Khan would go higher. By the way, Khan didn't actually do the draft combine. His agent said that he had tweaked his ankle. And so when he's actually fully healthy, it's totally fair. Like, I wouldn't be doing vertical jumps if my ankle's not healthy. Actually, my ankle's not healthy right now, and I'm not doing vertical jumps. So,
there you go.
But yeah, like, I think that maybe people think that he'll go higher. I think a lot of people are saying New Orleans probably will take him because they need more guard shooting help, and especially guys who are immediately available. I mean, Khan is certainly a guy who I'd be happy with at 9 too. Like, he's a guy he's got good skill. Good floor, good size, skill set. But I mean, you compare a guy like him versus a guy like Jakučionis. Like, why isn't Jakučionis a better option potentially? Like, Jakučionis creates a lot more of his own offense than Khan does. Just saying that much. You know what I mean? He played on a worse team. He had to do more for himself.
Following up from no guards, in terms of wings, the Raptors should be looking for their next OG, in my opinion. Listen,
the Raptors for how long? Basically since Vince Carter left, for like a 15-year period, the Raptors were looking for a damn small forward. Like, it was for, like, we had some.
Who were your favorite failed experiments?
Oh man, let's dig in. Okay, James Johnson twice.
Sure.
We tried it with twice with James Johnson. Landry Fields.
Oh yeah.
Who we kind of signed him hoping that handcuffed the Knicks to be unable to sign Steve Nash, and then Steve Nash is like, just kidding, I'm actually going to go to the Lakers.
Right.
They poison pilled. Yeah, they poison pilled the Knicks for Landry Fields.
We tried to sabotage and it backfired. I remember this.
That's an all-time Raptor moment, actually.
That is an all-timer.
Landry Fields, he came to Toronto, he hurt his like the nerve in his elbow and immediately couldn't do it. Joey Graham, I see the chat saying Joey Graham, screaming Joey Graham. I think that was what we got back from one of the picks from the Vince trade was Joey Graham. Thanks a lot, Vince Carter, behind me, for lowering your trade value. It's all good, whatever. 20 years ago now.
Lower the trade value, raise the banner.
It's fine. No apologies necessary. I mean, there's the other guys. DeMarre Carroll. How much money did we spend on DeMarre Carroll? How much money did we spend on Hito Turkoglu? Those are our 2 biggest free agency gets ever by the Raptors in terms of money.
What about
spent.
Patrick Patterson? Does that fall in that category? He was a little bit more of a forward.
He's a 4.
Yeah.
Patrick, PP was a 4, but like. Yeah. We just tried so many small forwards, man. Bruno.
Absolutely.
We took that gamble on Bruno.
We did, yeah.
I think that scared Masai straight. Masai hasn't taken a project like that ever since, man. At least not with the first rounder.
Ulrich is in the mix, yeah.
They bought a second rounder with like the 57th pick, and they drafted Ulrich, so.
Yeah.
Oh, Linus Kleza. Yeah, shouts to Sean in the chat.
Classic.
Yeah, Sonny Weems. Yeah, we've tried a bunch of small forwards. But basically,
so many of them. Yeah.
It was a rotating door until OG got there. And then OG held us down for like 7 years. Of course, we had Kawhi in the middle of that too, which was fucking beautiful. But
but like Kawhi was a superstar. Like, for so long, we were really looking for that wing role player, like that 3-and-D threat. Yeah.
And even now, you see OG, you're just like, he's indispensable, man. I mean, as much as he's like an archetype, there's also not anybody in the league that plays OG's role as good as OG does. So
absolutely not. Yeah,
shouts to OG, man.
On that note of Ulrich, a lot of it some have suggested just continue to invest in Ulrich in terms of, as opposed to going for some of these other bigs with potential.
Yeah, that's why like Asa Newell, for example. Like, there's a real chance that he's gonna have like a better NBA career than Ulrich Shamshe, just based on what he's done so far, and he's certainly played at more. I'm going to say prestigious, but maybe well-known programs, stuff like that in college and in high school. But Ulrich, when you watch the tape, just athletic. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about like a 6'10", really bouncy shot blocker, played well in the G League last year. I thought he showed improvement. Certainly needs to, like, he's rough around the edges, man. Like, he'll make mistakes that will end up on Shaqtin' a Fool, for example.
Sure.
But you can see the potential with Ulrich, and I think he's got to stay healthy. And I'm actually really excited to see what we can see out of him in Summer League this year. So, Ulrich, I'm excited for him. By the way, one thing, the Raptors have basically they've basically stopped any media requests for Ulrich. Like, if you want to write a profile on Ulrich, if you want to talk to Ulrich post-game, you notice that you don't see that even in the G League. That's really interesting. I feel like management's trying to hide Ulrich in a way.
We really did a grand opening, grand closing at Summer League, huh?
That's what I'm saying. The one time he actually spoke, to my memory, is actually
It was just you, Randy Urban, Ulrich, and me filming. It was,
it was at Summer League last
Jake
year.
LaRue too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really cool time to get to talk to Ulrich, and where he revealed that he a couple years ago, before going to the NBA, was a farmer and farmed a variety of crops, and truly one of the greatest stories in the league. Shouts to Ulrich, rooting for you, buddy.
Shouts to Ulrich. Yeah. Okay, so on the note of trading, do you think there's any chance that they try to trade up to ensure they get Maluach?
I don't mind. I don't mind.
Do you think they like him that much? I mean, I guess it's too soon to say, and we're not in there knowing. But do you think he's really a target to the point that we actually would try to make a move to ensure that we get them?
Again, we'll have to see. I think there's also maybe a visa issue.
Yeah, some people were talking about it in there, especially with what's going on and South Sudan being removed from it. So that could affect.
I don't know enough about that.
For sure.
I might have to ask Mainlander.
There you go.
But in any case, yeah, I mean, I guess I would say the most I would trade is like if I use like Ochai as a sweetener.
Okay.
To move up like 2-3 spots, but that's mostly just because I'm looking at the Raptors books and I'm like, there's going to be some people who are odd people out. So I don't mind consolidation trades where you're trying to like, bump up your value. Yeah.
A sweet Ochai is a sweet team.
Ochai and 9 for like what New Orleans has. I think New Orleans is 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd do that, yeah.
About Queen, I would be surprised if Queen falls to us. Nets or Wizards take him before us is a prediction. Do you see like, yeah?
I would actually, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Queen falls a little bit. Like again, he just did not do well in the combine measurements, man.
Yeah, it's I think there is like a little bit of a volatility. And then that's also like we're literally in this right now. That's also why we're trying to track this along, like starting today all the way up to draft. Like I feel like we will actually have a bit of a shift. I think our top choices will probably be in range the whole time, but like you mentioned, especially with 9th, I think we're going to start looking deeper and discovering a couple other people that we might be interested in.
Yeah, exactly. Because like even like 2-3 weeks ago, we're not that interested in like Carter Bryant. We're not talking about Rasheer Fleming that much. But the more you start looking at it, you're like, all right, I could talk myself into a like long 6'9" wing. Like, how much do you miss OG, man?
I miss him terribly.
We got a couple OG clones, man. Depends one of them. Yeah, if they have dry humor or not.
If we can't get Maluach, the next best thing is an energy guy, someone who could push/keep up with the pace, somebody who can run with Scotty, kind of like how Pascal did with Kyle. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I certainly would love to see the Raptors, play more up tempo. Because the Raptors aren't that skilled offensively, I think that this is a team that should try to profit in the fast break as much as possible. Scotty can do a lot of it, but Scotty, I think. I'd always rather Scotty finishing the fast break than necessarily pushing and leading it. Although he can certainly do that as well. But yeah, in terms of guys on that list who can like really change ends of the floor, I probably go with wings more than any of these centers. None of these centers are like, for me, guys who are like super bouncy and like running. You know what I mean? Like Sorber's, he's not slow, but he's not gonna be like leading your break. Maluach certainly not gonna do that for you. Derik Queen certainly not gonna do that for you. CMB maybe, but again, he's like 6'7", so he's more of a wing. I would say Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant played a lot in transition. Rasheer Fleming can start playing in transition as well. But those guys are just wings. You're comparing wings to centers. But
sure.
Yeah. By the way, I don't mind the Raptors getting a big wing. That's also like as much as like the backup center is like a real issue, or like a young big in the pipeline is an issue. Raptors also don't have a lot of young like bigger forwards, man. I mean, like we have Scotty, we have Mobo, but like I wouldn't mind like a 3-and-D guy who can be that like. That easy piece to slide in around those two guys, especially Scotty. So,
here's a take. See how you feel about this. I think one of the top 5 guys is gonna fall because someone's gonna reach. Do you see anything like that happening? Yeah,
I could see that. I think Ace is probably the top guy that's gonna fall. People just keep talking themselves out of Ace, man. I get it. Like, like he. It was maybe a disappointing year at Rutgers in the sense that like Rutgers didn't even make the tournament. Him and Dylan Harper. I mean, somehow Dylan Harper doesn't have any of this stink on him, but Ace has to wear the whole thing. He certainly takes crazy shots. Like you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say he's even cosplaying. He just like likes taking fadeaways. Like he just likes taking like the wackiest shots. But There's a skill set there. There's a seriousness there. I mean, if there's even a chance that he's like sliding, I would love to see the Raptors trade out for him, man. I'm betting on that potential. I don't care that like you need to refine and teach him, how to play team basketball, stuff like that. Like those are all teachable things, man. But he also did come in a lot shorter too, because I think Rutgers was listing him at 6'7", or sorry 6'10" all season, and he went to the combine, and I think he's like 6'7", so. He's like Tatum size though. Like that's not small.
Right? Yeah,
like,
no, it's not
like,
small. It's just funny. Like 6'10" and 6'7" when you hear that like coming in that way.
Yeah.
That's a disappointing hinge date right there.
I was gonna say, what is this, a hinge profile?
Yeah,
man?
exactly.
Yeah.
Here's just a general question for fans to understand. Maybe you can help with this. How do we know who works out for the Raps? Do we have that information available to us?
Raptors used to put out lists of who they were going to work out, especially at Scotiabank Arena. They largely did this for media purposes, so that if media wanted to go down and interview some of these guys, there's a chance. I think that policy kind of like went away, I think, post-COVID. I haven't seen it nearly as much. Certainly, there's still occasions, you know what I mean? Like, for example, you can see what I would say is cursed images of Andrew Nemhard wearing Raptors gear.
Oh,
in OVO Center.
Right.
Because, he was there for draft workouts. They do it a lot for the Canadians. It depends on, again, like if reporters request to, because if you don't request, then whatever. I mean, they're not going to make people available if no one's going to be there to talk to them.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, I think that like you just probably rely on some reporting. I don't know, man. Maybe we'll have to press Bobby Webster sometime, man. Just be like, yo, who you work out with? But honestly, the list is going to be like 90 people. I'm not even kidding. Like these guys are going to be busy. And as they should be, by the way, go make your money.
In the spirit of Bobby, has been suggested, send your spreadsheet to Masai and Bobby. I would only send it in the form of an actual slice of like a full pizza pie that is split up, and we'll like somehow put like little flags for each player to say like this is what the fans want. These are the various slices.
You know what? If we talk to Bobby in the near future, we will actually present this to him. How about that?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's a question about it. Is it saying the guy that Masai was scouting overseas?
Hold on.
Masai
Ujiri, France. So he was scouting in France for the 2024. No, okay. This is last year. He was watching Tijan Salon. I mean, okay. I wouldn't necessarily say that like this is like a guarantee that this means that the Raptors are especially interested, but because like this is also just his job. Like
sure, exactly.
Like even preseason, I remember there was literally before the Raptors had played a game, they were already making plans to like go to Duke, go to Rutgers.
Sure,
like, you know what I mean?
sure.
Like this is just like part of the job of a GM/president. So, but I mean,
and we're not even counting scouts that are literally like 24/7, 365, just always looking out players.
Right. Yeah. Why am I'm just trying to like, I guess Google this or like I guess search.
I don't think we're gonna find an answer from that.
Maybe. Hold on. There's a Masai. Okay, this is Raptors France. Okay. He was watching Hugo Gonzalez. Masai was scouted in Belgrade last week for Real Madrid versus Red Star. Hugo Gonzalez, a potential first-round pick for the 2025 draft, plays for Real Madrid, and he's there talking to Jeff Weltman. Again, this is just what they do. This is their job.
Yeah, exactly.
So I honestly I would be surprised if he didn't see these guys in person yet. I think he probably has already seen this guy in particular with
sure.
Noah. He's been in France to see Nolan Traore though. Yeah, this is a different one.
Okay.
Shouts to Raptors, Toronto Raptors France, man. Shouts to this page right here.
Super helpful. Yeah.
I'm gonna follow him back, man. You deserve it. You deserve this. But yeah, Masai Ujiri, this is him watching Nolan Traore, who's another French player who's maybe going to go first round. He's a French point guard. Actually, I'm surprised that I didn't get more votes for Traore, actually. Traore is decent. I like him.
All right. Also about saying, this is just for Alex, if he gets this far to hear this. People saying he's worst case Nick Batum.
Oh, it depends on whether he's going to get a viral rap song or not, man.
There you go.
Yeah. Fourth quarters, Scotiabank, I got my tool in.
Oh my god.
Courtside yelling, why the Noa Essengue in? Yeah, it doesn't really hit the same. Yeah.
We're getting there. Case for Kasparas, how about that yak pick and roll?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I kind of like that. I kind of like that because they would certainly be playing a lot of pick and roll together. So
Exactly.
yeah, one of them's gonna be Yak, and someone that's gonna have to be something different. Like I could be Cass, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Yak and Cass. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can work that if we get there. Just because of the comp and the specific name, Fleming, a good pick at 9, could be a Nas Reed type. We gotta love some Nas Reed references.
Yo, by the way, so I love players who become the archetype. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned,
Okay.
OG became the archetype. Derek Lively became the rim runner archetype.
I think we might have a segment. Yeah.
Nas Reed for like the 4s who are versatile and can play in a 4-5 lineup in big ways. Like the fact that Nas Reed became an archetype recently is very, very cool because like this guy again wasn't he undrafted? Nas Reed was like undrafted, man.
See, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I think he was like chubby or something in college, and then he like slimmed down and like the skill set
Got changed.
One of my favorite, I forget who used to say it on basketball Twitter, but they said fat was just potential in disguise.
I mean, that's always been like I think that's just always been a common phrase. But yeah, 2019 undrafted. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I mean Fleming certainly very interesting, man. Again, like I urge people to watch the film. I could totally see how that specific skill set would fit in the NBA. But in Nas Reed type, I don't know. Nas was like really. Nas has like a bag.
Right.
Nas Reed is like if you combine like Fleming with like Derik Queen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna challenge you at this point. How many, not for this, but like maybe for a future thing, how many different player types can you come up with for draft comps that we'll go through down the line? So we got an OG and we got a Nas Reed so far, and then I'm gonna leave.
Draymond is like a classic.
Draymond's a classic
Draymond is
type.
a classic
Yeah.
archetype
Yeah.
at this point, man. Like it's like I remember going back to like when OG was drafted, we were like, can he be Draymond?
Right.
You know what I mean?
We had a Draymond drop in this here.
We had a Draymond in this list with CMB. CMB is like as Draymond coded as it gets.
Well, they actually someone said, "Don't give me a non-shooting Draymond." I'm like, what do you think a Draymond is?
Yeah. Right. So like that tweener, defensively versatile. You know what I mean? Like Mobo is another Draymond. Yeah. So
Sure.
There's that.
So yeah,
type.
we have OG, we have Draymond. I think Giannis is a type now.
Giannis gets a little bit of a type, which is kind of nuts because, like, I guess Scotty got the Giannis comp, which I think is like that's more rare. I think you're like Paul George gets a lot of comps too.
Sure,
People love
KD
saying-
used to get those.
Yeah, by the way, Paul George is jokes because I think people are slandering Tatum. By the way, get well soon, Tatum, man. Like, I feel so bad for
absolutely.
Tatum.
Yeah,
But they were slandering Tatum by saying he's the LeBron James of Paul George's, and I'm like, damn, you're an archetype even for fellow players in the league.
right.
Usually they only work for prospects.
Right.
So.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, I think we're gonna have to like create a list of types, but we have a couple already.
Yeah, some good types, man.
Good types.
Maybe like a Rajon Rondo type. I haven't heard that in a while, but
No, yeah, that's been a minute.
yeah. But like a crafty, like point guard, like set the table type.
Yeah.
All
right. Did you just like start this one here?
This.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Read this out for me.
Okay, this one from OWTEE. We should get Yang, Chinese Nikola Jokic, Hansen in the second round.
Tell me about this person.
Oh my God. Okay, so first off, you don't understand. I get a message every single day from friend of the program and friend of the show, Jeremy Zhang, who we call Mainlander affectionately because he's from Beijing, about Hansen Yang. Like we talked yesterday about, he messaged, he's like, yo, my size should take him 9. And I'm like, man, probably 39. But we had also got separate texts from so Hansen is represented by Clutch, not not especially noteworthy, but
we got a text from our boy Ike, didn't we?
Our agent who works at UTA, which owns Clutch, mentioned he had talked to Yang and was like, basically, what do you guys think? He's very skilled. First off, he slimmed down a lot. He kind of like shed a lot of the baby fat. So I think that like you're not expecting him to like come in and like be a high flyer. Like, let's be real, man. The next Chinese person to come in, and be a high
someone
flyer,
that's named the Chinese Nikola Jokic. There's not any kind of like bounce that I'm expecting from this.
No. I mean, like he's like that high skill kind of like post up kind of center. Maybe he can shoot it a little bit. It depends on against who you talk to, but realistically, most of the highlights I see him is mostly him going to the basket and making certain plays. Got soft touch, left hand hook, right hand hook. He's got a decent skill set, man. He's a genuine 7-footer as well. I think we've had like this is like the one type of player the Chinese national team program produces. Okay. It's just like these like post up centers. Like, so obviously Yao Ming is like the god, and no one's close to Yao Ming. I don't think Hansen is anywhere close to that. But like. We've had guys like this, like Wang Zhilin was also another guy who's picked, I think, 53rd by Memphis a couple years ago. There's just like, I guess like, there's just tall Chinese people there, and then they just turn them into post-up bigs who would be like maybe good for like 90s style basketball.
I think that was like our competitive advantage back in the day, is that we would just like have such size, and especially during the time during the 90s and the early 2000s.
Right. So. Hansen is kind of like that, but he's a little bit lighter on his feet. I would say he's not necessarily just ground bound. I mean, I wouldn't say he's going to come in and be like a dominant defender. I don't think that's true, but I think that like, Şengün, another type, maybe a little Alperen Şengün type. You know what I mean?
You know the words. You know the words gets my heart.
I'm rooting. I mean, listen,
you did say that in the chat, and that's where I finally chimed in on the chat with like I was like, oh, Alpi.
39th pick, baby. If the Raptors take Young, I would honestly be eternally grateful.
That'd be game changing for the show too.
Yeah, you don't understand how hype I would be if the Raptors got a Chinese
player. We will push
man.
So hard for credential access at that point.
Oh my god,
Summer League with our boy Hansen Yang.
Man.
Here's a thing. I'm gonna put you on the spot here. What is the Chinese equivalent of a Soundboard Shuffle then?
What are you getting, man? The Shanghai Shuffle? Where's he actually from? Hold on.
I mean, for alliteration purposes, that kind of works. Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
The Tianjin two-step.
Woo! Where's he from? He's from Qingdao. Okay, Qingdao. Okay, yeah. Okay. So like the beer, like literally, like Qingdao is like the I guess the anglicization. But yeah, he's from Qingdao, like the city where that beer is famous from.
I mean,
so if you've ever been to a Chinese restaurant, you order that beer with that green bottle. Like that's Qingdao. Like that's where he's from. It's a coastal city. Oh, my cat's been in here this whole time. Oh man, Kasparas.
What's up?
Kasparas Jakucionis appeared. Whoa, what? You've been sleeping in the office this whole day? Okay, all right.
I love it.
But yeah, he's like 7'1". He's like 250 pounds. I think he's projected to be a second rounder. Honestly, he'd be really exciting to see him. He played really well in the CBA. I know no one really respects the Chinese Basketball Association, honestly for good reason. But he averaged 16 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, shot 59% from the field. He's a high skill center, man. Honestly, I would implore people to actually watch some tape of him. He's pretty nice, but I hope he gets drafted, and I selfishly hope that he can play for the Raptors.
I mean, with the alternate pronunciation of Tsingtao instead of Qingdao, we could lead the Tsingtao sidestep, maybe something like that. How about that?
Okay, hold on. People say they want to look at the cat.
All right.
Hello.
Hey.
He's very sleepy, and quite frankly, you're a little smelly. I don't know what's going on. Can you please go groom yourself?
Aw.
All right.
That's gonna be. It's just gonna be a clip. It's just gonna be you holding a cat. My cat's here.
Drome, are your allergies acting up?
Yeah.
Just looking at this.
Yeah, I'm just having an asthma attack on this end now, just through Zoom. Yeah. All right. I mean, the person who asked for the cat was Coco, and Coco did share this comment. I was walking downtown yesterday and looked up and saw the Ernst & Young building in the distance and shook my fist at it. Sorry, Alex.
Yo,
some people are still very salty in the chat about it. There's a lot of like, I will never travel to Dallas.
What? Yeah.
Oh man. Even in our pickup run last night, like it all started off. Our boy Vic was just like, I just walked up to Vic and Trevor after like doing some like pregame shots, and then I just hear like them talking about how rigged everything is. Yeah.
People are not happy.
People are not happy.
Like, this has not made anyone happy except for people in Dallas. So, Yeah, it happens. But yeah, shouts to the Ernst & Young building, man. Where's that on, Queen? He's in
I'm not
like
even
financial
sure.
district area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one. Tsingtao slide. Sounds proper. That's solid.
Yeah, I honestly, you don't understand. Like, first off, like the Chinese audience alone. Wow.
Absolutely.
Like we have like the Chinese Canadian audience.
Yeah.
But if we got the Chinese audience, oh buddy, yo, 你好欢迎, baby. All that work on Duolingo would have really paid off, man. That first interview with Hansen will be going nuts.
Oh, we're not even gonna add like subtitles. We're just gonna be you straight up talking Mandarin with each other.
Okay, hold on. Drum. Let's watch this tape together, man.
Okay, where's that? Okay, let me set this up. Are you loading it in right now for us?
I have the YouTube link, so I'm gonna just share the YouTube page. We can watch that together. Hold on.
All right, let's watch. Let's watch some tape.
Wait, you guys, you about to learn Chinese, guys? Y'all better learn Chinese.
Oh no!
All right, here we
the
go.
MC. Here we go.
I'm gonna turn the music off. Actually, turn the music off. Yeah.
All right, let's add it to stage. Here we go.
All right. Woo! Look at this.
Look at him.
Look at man. He looks just like me for real.
That's a crazy cut.
All right, here we go. Oh, yo, come on. You start the video like that? Throwing it off the glass to himself. Oh, post up, spin move, baseline, tough finish, man. Come on.
This really is the evolution of like Chinese basketball players.
Ooh. Oh yeah. Oh, look at that double spin, little floater, little touch. Come on,
it's a little laggy here.
Oh,
but,
a little Euro step, little
Wow.
finish. Okay.
He's also so much taller than everyone there.
Oh yeah, he's gigantic. Oh, a little bounce pass back door.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there we go. Oh, baseline, dunk. Yeah, but you know what? He has slimmed down a lot. I think the last couple years when I watched him, I was like, all right, he doesn't have the physicality to play in the NBA. By the way, that's the smallest Euro step I've seen.
This is this is just Jeremy on Thursdays at Hard House, right?
Come on, man. Come on, man. A little drop step. Little inside hand. Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Up fake, man. The other Chinese guy couldn't handle him, man. All right, here we go. All right,
that will not be a phrase that you'll hear in the NBA. The other Chinese guy couldn't handle him.
Whoa, look at that extra pass. Look at that little nice little pass in the cutter in the middle. All right, let's play a little pick and roll. Roll. No jumping. All right, dunking. He's honestly, as far as his Chinese centers go, like pretty athletic, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like China's not producing these like high jump athletes. There's no way. But like,
well, even that, just like the footwork and the like mobility.
Ooh! Come on, man. That jersey. Yeah. I might need that jersey, Jeremy. Man, I need one more favor, man. Give me the Qingdao jersey, please.
That actually would be fire.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Oh, is that
That'll
pushing
go
the break?
at
Look at this defense. It's terrible. No, man. No wonder people say you got to go play in China, man. I could have done that fast break. All right.
I was about to say that's a Will Lou fast break.
Yeah, that actually is. No one stops me, and I just break a layup. A nice little jumper from the outside. Yeah, I mean, mostly he plays inside. I think maybe if he had the stretch 3-point shot down. I guess the last Chinese guy to play in the NBA was like Chinese center was probably Zhou Qi for the Rockets. I don't even know if he made the actual main team. He might have just played for the G League team. But he's pretty different. Zhou Qi was like Chinese Kristaps. This is Chinese Jokic.
Right.
Yeah, this is Timu Jokic, unfortunately.
It's very much a Timu Jokic.
Alibaba Jokic, man. Ooh, look at that.
Tell us who's your Alibaba.
Oh, spin move. Nice.
Okay.
Come back to the right hand. Could have finished with the left. He's ambidextrous, you know. Oh, look at that step through. Man, that's terrible defense. This defense is garbage. Wow. All right. Nice little finish. Okay. All right, here we go. Post up. Why is he posting up guards all the time?
These are real pickup run highlights.
Yo, I'm going to say, I haven't seen this many Asians in a basketball run since our Tuesday run.
I know.
little mid-range. Okay. A little mid-range again.
This is me cooking Dave Kim. No.
Oh, man. Oh, come on, man. That little reverse pivot. That's beautiful, man.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
My glasses are fogging from all this heat.
Woo. Yo, honestly, I'm yeah. Yo, come on, man. Look at that. You think Clutch just accepts anybody as clients? Nah, man. That means he's got potential.
I mean, it's their second Chinese athlete we found out outside of Darius Garland.
Wow, come on now. I can't even speak about him. Oh, look at that. Oh, my God. That's a tough finish. That's tough. That's tough right there. That's actually tough. Although he continues to be just guarded by wings in this list. I don't understand. Are there no centers in China? Like, okay,
he's eating these wings.
Oh, man.
All you can eat wings night.
Goodness. Oh, stretch it out. Stretch it out. Bang.
Wow. Bang.
Oh, I forgot Zach Edey, of course.
Bang.
Obviously, But Zach Edey, you know what I mean? Zach, he's Chinese Canadian. Shouts to Zach.
Chinese Canadian, yeah. Not mainlander. No mainlander status.
This is the mainlander. Oh man,
this
his
is
nickname
the
would be the
mainlander.
mainlander.
Oh my god.
Yo, let's go.
Yo, imagine they brought back like nickname jerseys for NBA players and he actually had mainlander on there.
Oh man. Yo, I you know Mark Joe's gonna be like, ni hao. Express yourself in Mandarin.
How many games like over under until he makes a Great Wall reference?
He's hotter than hot pot. Oh my god. Yo,
He's bringing that Sichuan heat.
Oh my god. Yo, I actually cannot wait for Mark Jones to call his games.
He's in his Xiaolong Bao.
Yo, he's not in his bag, he's in his bow.
Oh my god.
All right, that's enough. Thanks everyone for indulging. All right, listen, somebody's gonna end up with Hansen, and someone's gonna be really happy with that. All right, it's just it will not be. I don't know. It could be the Raptors. I would love it, man. Yo, right. Matt Devlin's gonna yellow Mandarin.
Yo, okay, no, but actually, if we somehow have him on the team, how do we like? Just give him the weirdest culture shock by bringing him to the Mandarin for our own.
Oh yeah, interview. He's gonna be like, "What's going on here, man?"
Yeah. All right. Last bit here. We just got a couple dollars from Top Shot. Keep in mind, Masai is a scout at heart. Thank you, Top Shot.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is what Masai loves the most, man. Masai even said it himself at the end of the season post-game press conference. It's like the most joy he gets in this job is by going around and like watching and scouting these guys. So, cool. Oh, we got breaking news on the pod. Hold on. All
right, hey.
Breaking news on the pod. Hold on. Let me get the proper attribution. This is from our friend of the program here, Liban Osmond, who I've been telling everyone, go follow Liban Osmond for draft
If you
coverage.
actually want to know like different people that are going to be working out with the Raptors, Liban's definitely going to be on that tip.
He is going to be asking every single person, have you worked out with the Toronto Raptors, including, and this person of note, South Carolina's Colin Murray-Boyles says he has interviewed with the Toronto Raptors at the NBA Draft Combine. Quote, young roster, rebuilding, just got Brandon Ingram. Great core, great group of guys. They're tough, switchable. They're just everything I feel like I can fit into.
I love CMB's like scouting report on us.
Oh, yeah, I love that, man. They just got Brandon Ingram. Great core, great group.
Yeah.
Man, they're tough, switchable. I mean, yeah. Honestly, he's a Raptor style player. I'll say that much.
Okay.
But I think the Raptors might have over-indexed on this style of player at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. Thank you, Liban, and thank you for that update.
There you go.
I guess, yeah, we're about at the end. Just to close out, let's get back a little bit into playoffs because you guys are going to talk about it tomorrow. Will, did you know that on Betway,
yes,
the Boston Celtics are a 4.5-point favorite on the New York Knicks tonight, even
How
without
are they
Jason
always
Tatum.
Favored over the Knicks? Have they not watched? Oh man, Betway. Come on,
Even with the
Betway.
Jason Tatum injury, Betway's got the Knicks pick tonight. What are your thoughts? Are we going to create a Celtics blame pie tomorrow or not?
Oh, that Celtics blame pie's in the oven, man.
But are we going to do it as soon as tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes.
It's an oven for it's preheating. The oven's preheating right now, man.
Well, why do you even think that like we have Celtics still favored? Like it just seems like
I don't
nonstop.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like obviously you can't foresee the fact that Tatum got injured. Tatum has been really healthy for a star, and it does really suck. But New York is just. I mean, okay, they're at home, which
Sure.
I think that that factors in. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, that like.
But the
videos
mood
to
in the
come out of
building
New
could
York
be
if they make the
flipping,
conference
man.
finals could be like insane.
Right. The mood in the building could be really flipping. We got Jaylen Brown as the number one option.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaylen Brown can certainly do it. I mean, this guy just won Finals MVP, but I don't know, man. He didn't win that Finals MVP over OG. OG's done a great job guarding Jaylen Brown his whole career.
Right.
So,
And now they only really have to focus on him for this game.
I mean, I'm not gonna put it past the Celtics to win this one off pride alone. You know what
Sure.
I mean? Like, never underestimate the heart of a champion and stuff like that. But for me, I don't know. I think Boston's game plan here needs to be shoot even more threes.
There are more threes to be
I'm not
shot.
even kidding. They gotta
How
shoot
could
more
you
threes.
shoot more?
They gotta shoot more threes, and it can't be a close game because if it's a close game against the Knicks, Jalen Brunson's dropping 20 on your head. So
I was gonna say, yeah, this 4.5 differential here. I'm like, that's just two Jalen Brunson buckets to like ruin all that. Okay, well, it looks like you're betting against the Celtics here, and if you are willing to bet either way, make sure you scan the QR code below. And yeah, I mean, I think that covers everything for this episode.
That does cover everything on this episode. Actually, one last thing.
Sure.
Liban also talked to Derik Queen, who's obviously, Grange reported that he's already talked to the Toronto Raptors. Derik Queen did say, quote, "I've never been to Toronto. I heard it's nice, but I heard they got the worst taxes also," he jokes. Derik Queen, buddy, that's it. Sorry, no more Derik Queen in Toronto, man. You don't understand how sensitive Torontonians are. Okay? You know how half of Drake's songs are about how you got slighted by somebody.
Sure.
One time, some rapper, some woman, some friend, whatever. Right? Half of Drake's catalog is just him getting slighted. Mm-hmm. That is Toronto as a whole, man. You say one bad thing about Toronto, you're done out here. Do you not see what happened with that Young? No,
I was gonna say,
Queen,
but is this an opportunity though for him to have like the full 180 and really like earn the hearts of like Toronto Raptor fans?
What's he gonna come in and be like? Just
I was wrong about it.
Fine.
That's true. No matter what, he is just stating a fact.
He's gonna come in and be like, "Just kidding. I love the Texas, man."
Oh my goodness.
Goodness. Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you for the check-in. Yeah, we'll definitely follow up more on what's going on with the Combine tomorrow. But tomorrow, you and Alex are going to come back to discuss some playoffs. It looks like we're gonna get some blame pies in the process. We might have a Boston blame pie. If
Colin, you're getting some blame pie.
Oh boy! I mean, like we might have to blame a certain clutch party on this.
Oh no! Actually, did we curse everyone at that clutch party? Because no one has come out strong in that. Moody's
Draymond, out. Yeah. Draymond, no. Darius, though. Oh gosh,
Gay, actually. Yeah, I think he got canceled by Toronto fans again.
Right. Yeah. How do you like remain canceled and then like come back to somehow get double canceled again? This is, yeah. I mean, Rudy Gay. Shout out to like wings that we wish would work out.
Yeah, man. Rudy Gay. I don't know. Rudy Gay was really talented. I feel like his career could have been better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like
we're starting another pod, man. Holy shit.
Yeah. We're starting to.
Oh, Rudy Gay, another guy who we had a small forward trying to fill in.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Wings that we were hopeful for. All right. Well, I guess that's everything there. Will, would you like to close this out?
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate everyone for voting. Let us know who you would want the Raptors to take at 9. Of course, this is going to be a huge debate. Please leave a like on the stream on your way out, too. See a lot of people watching, which is really nice on YouTube and on Twitter.com. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate Jerome for putting in a lot of the production here behind the scenes. Thanks to all the reporters that I told these videos from. Just appreciate you guys. Seriously, like Jonathan Giavoni, Liban Osman, Michael Grange. I just appreciate you guys putting in the time to
all the people who've done like hoop mixtapes, things like that. They've been super helpful.
This is your time to shine, guys. This is your time to shine. So thanks everyone for listening. Again, leave a like on your way out, and we'll be back tomorrow to talk about the NBA playoffs. See you guys then.